Let go of the aloof white moonlight, the school beauty is my true goddess. Chapter 1. Sanjiang University, Male Dormitory. Chen woke up from a drunken stupor with a splitting headache. Just as he sat up and prepared to get out of bed, his roommates Xiong Yi, Bo and Chen Shuo quickly surrounded him. Are you okay, Brother Chen? Three-legged frogs are hard to find, but two-legged women are everywhere. That's right. When you toss and turn at night and can't sleep, others have already drunkenly slept in the land of tenderness. Don't be sad, or I'll take you to get your hair done. Wash and cut for 20, wash and cut for 888. Looking at a sleeping dragon, a phoenix chick, and a half-ton mudslide in front of him, Chen suddenly felt like he was in a dream. I'm not dead. He looked down at his phone. How did the Huawei Mate 60, which he had just bought, become an antique Nokia 5230? And this time, May 21, 2010, Friday. I'm really back. He is now 18 years old and in the first semester of his freshman year. He returned to their vibrant university campus full of long legs. This bloody plot. No, this overwhelming wealth has fallen on my head. Chen's mind was a little confused, until he saw the brand new L'Oréal Paris Cosmetics and the 36-inch DIY customized photo nail painting beside the bed. His thoughts were suddenly pulled back to the past. Yesterday on May 20th, he failed to confess again. Chen Shuo. She was his white moonlight, which was even more unbearable. They came from the same city and were classmates in high school. At first sight, love lasted forever. It is said that people who love you will treat you as a child. It's not because you are a child, but he is willing to treat you with the patience and love he treats children. He likes your coquetry, your dependence, and your unreasonable troubles. Over the years, he has taken good care of Chen Shuo, eating, shopping, watching movies, chatting, celebrating holidays, and flirting. Just when he thought that the two of them would be a natural fit and he could easily win her over by just confessing his love, Chen Shuo brought him back to square one with a few words. I don't want to fall in love too early. Is it progressing too fast? We don't know each other very well yet, let's talk about it later. The college entrance examination is very important, focus on your studies first, and see you at the top. Chen was so moved at that time. This girl knew the importance of right and wrong, and he secretly felt happy that he had found a treasure and should cherish her. So he studied hard from midnight to dawn, just to be worthy of her. As a result, she only got an ordinary second-tier university. Standing at the top, Chen looked at a loss with the scores of 985 and 211. It is said that licking dogs must die, and they deserve to have nothing. At the age of first love, never doubt the bottom line of love brain. In order to be with Chen Shuo, he secretly changed his choice of major without telling his parents before the college entrance examination application system was closed. Because of this, his honest parents were so angry that they vomited blood, and they were pointed at and stabbed in the back. That's fine. A warrior who dares to charge for love should not be laughed at. After finally making it to college, Chen thought he could finally have a legitimate relationship, but Chen Shuo had a new excuse. You are a good person. I like my single life now. College is great, I don't plan to fall in love for the time being. If you really like me, then leave everything to time, and time will tell. I do have a good impression of you, but I'm still a little short of being moved, why don't you try harder? Goddamn hard work. One-sided love, he only moved himself. Many years later, Chen realized that Chen Shuo was the pond owner. And he was just a fish in the pond. What is their relationship? More than friends, less than lovers, out of reach but seemingly within reach. At this moment. After his rebirth, Chen looked at the set of L'Oréal Paris Cosmetics next to his bed, which he had barely bought after eating instant noodles for almost 3 months. And the 36-inch DIY custom photo nail painting, with a total of 13,140 nails. In order to finish it before their confession on May 20th, he worked for nearly 2 weeks to barely put it together. But now it seems so childish. Because just yesterday evening, when he happily came to the downstairs of the girls' dormitory to confess his love, he happened to see Chen Shuo holding a bouquet of roses and getting into a red convertible sports car. It was a Porsche 911. The cheapest guide price was more than 1.4 million. Standing next to the car, Chen felt ashamed, like a downtrodden dog, uncomfortable and ashamed. He knew the boy, Zhu Chao, from the civil engineering college next door. He was a celebrity in the school. He sang a cover of Love Business at the welcome party and made countless senior and junior students crazy. He had a distinguished family background. His father was a famous local real estate developer, and his uncle was the president of Sanjiang University. The three of them faced each other. Chen Shuo, who had always been proud, was at a loss. She was a little nervous, especially when she saw Suchen holding a gift and preparing to confess. Worried about being misunderstood by Zhu Chao, she quickly explained that he was her distant cousin before Suchen had time to speak, and did not look at him again. Distant cousin? Suchen looked at her in disbelief. It's not that she doesn't want to fall in love, she just doesn't want to fall in love with me. After his rebirth, Suchen finally understood that there are actually only two effective ways for men to deal with women. Either use money or love. The rest is nothing. It's not that she doesn't want to fall in love, she just doesn't want to fall in love with me. Zhu Chao was full of bad intentions and deliberately dropped a Marriott hotel room card on the ground. This was a provocation. It seemed to be saying, "Look, your goddess, my dog." Then he stepped on the accelerator and drove away. At that moment, Suchen's heart was bleeding. She, who had always been reserved, could actually be so proactive. What ideological traditions, what to save until marriage, all of them were bullshit. Standing alone in the crowd, Suchen's heartbroken tears flowed silently. The tsunami in the hearts of adults was quietly not known to others. The tears were real, the sadness was real, and it was also real that I wanted to spend my whole life with you. All the untimely encounters were regrettable and distressing. Mountain birds and fish have different paths, and mountains and rivers will never meet again. That night, he got drunk and his life has been ruined since then. After finally making it to graduation, he thought he could be relieved. But she took the initiative to find him again. I still love you. Don't worry, the child is definitely yours. It's enough if the child looks a bit like you. Is blood relationship really that important? It's better to be a little confused. He came to me. Are you so cruel as to separate the father and son? After so many years, I still can't forget him. Can a toad eat swan meat? The answer is yes. But they were all shot to death by others. It was hard to muster up the courage to love again, but was once again beaten to blood by reality. Suchen was depressed. So he drank all day and his life was completely ruined. Later, he was unwell and diagnosed with liver cancer, in the late stage. The three brothers in the dormitory helped him with all their money after knowing it, and secretly helped him open a water drop fund, and never left him. But Suchen, who had long been disheartened, had no desire to live, and just wanted to see Chen Shuo again before he died. The message was sent, and he received a reply 3 days later. I've donated on Shuo. I'm very busy now. Get well soon. It turns out that she already knew it, but it was not that important. Xiong Yi even checked on Shuo and found that Chen Shuo donated 200. The next day she posted a circle of friends, "The world is so big, I want to go out and show it to others." Pictures: golf, big yacht, elongated legs and thin waist. Location: Wujeju Island, Sanya. Everything is perfect. She also blocked Suchen on purpose, but forgot to hook up with Xiong Yi. Xiong Yi was furious after seeing it and scolded her for being ungrateful. Suchen just laughed it off. Blushing meeting, red eyes leaving. Let go of yourself, and let go of her. The lover you can't get is always like the wind, and will eventually leave even if you force him to stay 1,000 times. I know that it is not my moonlight, but there was a moment when the moonlight did shine on me. He was relieved. But just as he was dying, the door of the ward was pushed open. Indistinctly, a tall, long-haired beauty lay on him and cried heartbreakingly. It was Liu Yao. After graduating from college, she wanted to confess her love to Suchen, but she saw that he was taking over again, so she left for the United States in anger and had no news since then. But 3 days ago, when she saw the news about Suchen suffering from liver cancer in her circle of friends, she could no longer hold back. That day, she sold her car and house at a low price, selling off her hard-earned property. Then she bought the nearest flight and rushed back without hesitation. She had only one thought in her mind. Save Suchen. No matter how much it costs. When she learned that there was hope of curing liver cancer through transplantation, she even thought about making a matching donation. Unfortunately, Suchen's condition progressed too quickly. The last chance had long been lost. In front of the bed, Liu Yao burst into tears and cried bitterly. I have been waiting for you, how can you die? You gave me my life, and I knew I lost the first time I saw you. You only care about the scenery ahead, but never look back. In fact, I have always been here. There is no you in this world anymore, what is the point of me living? But it doesn't matter, I will go to accompany you now. But in the next life, can you look at me one more time? The only two 100% in medicine are tragedies. One of them is paraquat. Knowing that Chen was on his deathbed, she drank a large bottle before coming. At this moment, Lu Yao's mouth was full of blood, but she smiled happily. We can finally be together. This counts as living and dying together. Love rises with the wind, and it is hard to calm down when the wind stops. It is false to say that there is no regret, and it is true that it is not worth it. Chen only remembers the white moonlight in his heart, but did he know that he was also the cloud-hanging moon in the hearts of others? There are always too many regrets that he desperately wants to make up for. But some people and some things are missed after all. Looking at the girl who was so humble for love, but brave enough to die for love, Chen's heart was broken. At this moment, he really regretted it. I died yesterday, and my heart was as calm as water when I left. I was reborn this morning, and my heart was warm when I came. When the gears of fate began to turn, Chen returned to the age of 18. It is now May 21, 2010. This time, he changed his ways and completely let go of Shui. I spent half my life to gain enlightenment, and if I look back one more time, I deserve to die. And regrets can be made up. Lu Yao is like a breeze and a beam of warm sunshine. Her existence gives new meaning to life. Starting from scratch, turning the tide against the wind, and living towards the sun. There are regrets in life, and start again. Everything is just right. Chapter 2. He dared to hang up my phone. Chen was immersed in that tragic life for a long time and couldn't let it go. He thought he was a spare tire, but in fact he was a jack, because he was the only one who was used to prop up when others changed tires. Xiong Yi couldn't stand it anymore, and walked forward and said tentatively, "If you really can't get over this hurdle, I'll go and call her down, and you two can have a good talk." "Can she listen to you?" "What are you thinking?" Bo said teasingly. "Can you still contact the senior sister who bought it for you?" After thinking again and again, Chen lowered his voice and asked. "You have been eating instant noodles for several weeks, and you still have to buy a gift to apologize." 1,000 grass mudmar ran through Xiong Yi's heart. This is too humble. "I want to return the goods." Chen blurted out. Return the goods." Xiong Yi thought he had heard it wrong. "Don't lick it." Bo also asked jokingly. "No more licking, I want to be a human being." Chen laughed with relief. "It's true that I like you, and it's also true that there will be no future. The sun rises in the east but sets in the west, which roughly means, I love you, but it has a beginning but no end. My patched love ends here. How long do you plan to break up this time?" Chen Shuo asked disapprovingly after glancing at him. "Can you believe the words of a licker? Today you are indifferent to me, but tomorrow I will come to you." Similar breakups and reconciliations are staged every month, and they have been slapped in the face many times. Chen didn't explain, and immediately kicked the custom-made nail painting beside the bed hard, kicking it to pieces. "Damn, are you serious?" Chen Shuo trembled with fear. "Not that bad, Brother Chen, this painting is the result of your hard work for more than half a month." Bo also looked over in surprise. "Are you really letting it go this time?" Xiong Yi confirmed again and again. "She doesn't deserve my love." Chen jumped off the bed. "But you said yesterday that she was a goddess, and she was the only one I would marry in my life." Chen Shuo said teasingly. "Bar. Why does this sound so disgusting?" Chen stepped hard on the broken nail painting again. "That's right, stop the loss in time. Happy breakup, you will find someone better." "Great news. This is a ban on firecrackers, otherwise I would go out and shoot a few shuttles." Downstairs of the girls' dormitory, Chen returned the L'Oréal Paris at a 20% discount. The senior sister reluctantly earned 200 yuan with tears. Near noon, Chen, who had recovered the funds, was in a good mood and said he would take 200 yuan to treat them to hot pot to celebrate. "Godfather, is it true?" Xiong Yi and the other two were overjoyed. This is the difference between brothers and goddesses. 200 yuan to treat the goddess to dinner. There is a high probability that she will be looked down upon, and will be called a stinking loser, who won't even eat dogs, while brothers will call you daddy on the spot. There are 4 irons for men: studying together, carrying guns together, visiting prostitutes together, and sharing the spoils together. They have 3 of them. Brothers are not more capable than you, but brothers will always stand behind you. In the last life, Chen, who was already poor and destitute, was stretched to the limit and could not afford the high expenses. So one of the 3 of them sold a car, one sold cows and sheep, and raised 500,000 overnight. Another quit his job to accompany you 24 hours a day. For them, brothers mean that if you have money, I won't touch you, but if you are in trouble, I will come out. A dog is always a dog, but a person is not necessarily a person. Without going through some things, you will never see the appearance of the people around you clearly. In this life, there are no more brothers, just 2 or 3 are enough. Speaking of selling cows and sheep, Chen has been unable to let it go for so many years. Bo came from the Qingqing prairie. When he was a freshman, he lamented that the tuition was very expensive and said that his family sold a cow to pay for his tuition. Everyone was silent at that time. Deeply lamenting the difficulty of rural families to sell their houses to pay for their children's tuition, everyone took good care of him in the next 4 years. After graduation, he invited to go to the prairie. Looking at the endless pastures and thousands of cattle and sheep, Chen cried. We poor people who have nothing, what qualifications do we have to sympathize with the successor of a big farmer? Unfortunately, after graduation, the 3 of them had many emotional lives. One was abused. One was cuckolded. Another became a son-in-law and suffered humiliation. Time flies, brothers are iron. At this moment, watching their bragging and nonsense, Chen smiled with relief. Fortunately, nothing has happened yet. Reconciling with his past self, half a bottle of Qingdao, Chen drank it in one gulp. You haven't let it go yet. The 3 of them suddenly looked over quietly. Fuck love, I want to dedicate the rest of my life to the party. Chen said freely. That's right, if you bloom, butterflies will come, women are not worth it. Xiong Yi said with a look of relief. Library. Shen Shui and her bestie Xu came to read. Just after sitting down, Xu jumped up as if there were nails in the stool. Oh, it hurts so much. Xu complained softly, and then sat down slowly again. Who told you to be so indulgent? Shen Shui smiled. Didn't you go out with Zhu Chao last night? Xu said unhappily. We just had a simple meal and watched a movie, but we didn't applaud for love. I came back after watching the movie. Shen Shui said proudly. She felt a little unwell and got up to go to the bathroom. After coming back, she covered her belly and said awkwardly, I think my period has come. Did you bring that? Xu shook her head slightly. There is a small supermarket downstairs. I'll go down and take a look. Shen Shui said without hesitation. That's the stationery store, sister. Xu said speechlessly. What should I do? Class is about to start. It's definitely too late to go back now. Shen Shui said with an embarrassed look. This is simple. Call Chen. Xu said as a matter of course. That's right. Shen Shui smiled proudly. He must not forget such an important day. After all, she rarely bought sanitary napkins since she was in the 3rd year of high school, and Chen had always taken care of this matter. The call was quickly connected. Are you convenient to talk now? Shen Shui asked straight to the point. Not convenient. After a cold reply, Chen hung up the phone without hesitation and continued to drink and brag with his brothers. He is so arrogant when he stops being a licker. Shen Shui is emo. Looking at the phone in disbelief. What happened today? He actually dared to hang up on me. He didn't even have the patience to listen to me finish my words. He wasn't like this before. He was reluctant to hang up every time he talked about his life experience, dream list, and relationship. Is he not in love? Or is he tired? Shen Shui walked back disappointed, frowning and worried. Xu, who didn't understand, said with envy, call me and go away. I really envy you for having such a good little brother. That, he hung up on me. Shen Shui said with a grievance, lowering her head. What? Impossible. You are her treasure. How could he bear to hang up on you? Could it be that he didn't recognize your voice? Xu analyzed seriously. I always feel that he is angry. Shen Shui said with an uneasy look. Just because you went out with Ju Chao last night. Don't worry, a person who really likes you will not give up easily. Xu Bing said firmly. I also believe that he doesn't have such courage. Shen Shui nodded proudly, thinking that what she said made sense. Well, you send him a text message, and he won't dare to disobey you. Xu Bing said confidently. Shen Shui nodded in agreement. It's okay to forget what day it is today, but he dared to hang up my phone. Just punish him by not allowing him to sit with me in class. On the other side, Su Chen hung up the phone in public, which made the brothers proud and excited. Brother Chen is a real man. My brother Chen finally stood up. Brothers, let's go, respect Brother Chen. Su Chen smiled with relief, this was just the beginning. Soon, Shen Shui's text message came. How dare you hang up on me? You've grown up. How could you forget what day it is today? You're too careless. How can I give you a chance? I have a stomachache. Send her to the library in 20 minutes. Find the place yourself. Xiong Yi, Bo and Chen Shuo came over and saw the text message, and they felt a little embarrassed. She asked you to send Sophie again. I suddenly feel that it's good to be alone. Bo teased. The library has 7 floors. How the hell do I find it? Chen Shuo said sarcastically. Do you want to show off? Xiong Yi looked at him with complicated eyes. Why doesn't she go find Ju Chao? Su Chen said with disdain, not wanting to respond. It's really a grief to think about it. He is a big man, but he has studded sanitary napkins clearly. Which pads are used before menstruation or when walking fast? Daily pads are suitable for small amount during the day, night pads are used when there is not much at night, extra long pads are suitable for large amount, and sleeping pants can prevent leakage. In addition, every time his period comes, he has to prepare ibuprofen sustained release capsules, brown sugar ginger water, fresh fruits, daily dark chocolate, red dates. Is this what a man should do? Fortunately, I don't need to do it anymore in the future. If you love the wrong person, you must know how to let go. The boss will pay the bill. After eating and drinking, Su Chen shouted. Soon, the boss's wife came over with a slender waist. Seeing the pile of beer bottles on the ground, she coquettishly reminded, You young people, be careful. Little baby. Su Chen responded subconsciously. Go to hell, I said drinking too much alcohol will hurt the liver. The boss's wife said unhappily. Hurt the liver. Su Chen was shocked. Die of liver cancer in the last life, this life can't repeat the same mistake. Thinking of this, he said with lingering fear, It seems that I have to take time to check it out. Since you are so obedient, I will give you 130 for 132. The proprietress said charmingly. How much if it is 136? Su Chen looked up and asked. That's also 130. The proprietress said with a charming smile. The proprietress is generous, give me for more old popsicles. Su Chen smiled proudly. Chapter 3 Girls are always right. The wind in May is refreshing and pleasant. The gardenias on the campus road exude a fragrant fragrance that is intoxicating. Information Science Building. Shen Shui, Xu Bing and other classmates came here one after another. Do you want to send a text message to Su Chen? Maybe he really went to the library to find you. Xu Bing came over and asked softly. That's what he deserved. Who told him to hang up on me? Shen Shui pouted and said resentfully. That's right. Men can't be spoiled. Xu Bing smiled. Speaking of this, she asked again with great interest, Tell me the truth, how far have you and Ju Chao developed? Just eating and watching a movie. Lying on the table, Shen Shui answered casually. Last night was 520, the night was seductive, and the atmosphere was ambiguous. Didn't you have anything happen? For example, applauding for love. Xu Bing gossiped. What are you thinking about? I do have a crush on him, but I'm not polite. After all, we've only met a few times. Shen Shui explained seriously. That's right. You can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. Xu Bing nodded and asked, Hold hands. Yeah. Shen Shui lowered her head. Kissed. Xu Bing said happily. You're annoying. Shen Shui's face was red to her ears. Feel your heart in the cinema. Xu Bing asked. If you do this again, I will ignore you. Shen Shui was so excited that her heart was beating wildly, and even her breathing became rapid. Okay, but I probably know what you will choose between Su Chen and Zhu Chao. Xu Bing smiled meaningfully. I don't know myself. Shen Shui said with embarrassment. You and Su Chen have known each other for 4 years, right? Has he held your hand? Xu Bing asked pointedly. Shen Shui was slightly startled and shook her head. The answer is out. Seize the opportunity. I heard that Zhu Chao is a super rich second generation. If you two really go together, the future is promising. Xu Bing said playfully. Actually, Su Chen is also very good. Shen Shui said contradictory. That's right. After all, who would refuse one more person to pay the bill? Xu Bing laughed disapprovingly. There are still 5 minutes before class. When Shen Shui thought that she would have milk tea soon, her mood immediately became happy. Soon, Su Chen and his friends came. Shen Shui quickly lowered her head, pretending to be indifferent, waiting for him to come forward to please her. However, Su Chen just glanced at her casually when he passed by, and then walked straight to the back without stopping for a moment. She is still so beautiful as expected of the school belle. The delicate face is elegant and refined, the jade-like skin is crystal clear, the graceful figure is radiant, and the long black hair falls naturally on the shoulders, exuding a faint fragrance, which is breathtakingly beautiful. In the crowd, she is always the most eye-catching one. No wonder Zhu Chao is so attracted by her, after all, no man can resist her charm. But this time, Su Chen is like a stranger. When you see the reality clearly, it will be much easier to let go. Now the only thing that can make his heart ripple is the girl who died for love. It's too much. He didn't even take the initiative to apologize. Shen Shui muttered softly. I think he didn't take anything. I thought he went to the library to find you. Xu Bing said with exaggeration. Do you think he is still angry about what happened yesterday? Shen Shui began to reflect. You are so strict before we are even confirmed. If we are together, won't we have no private space at all? Men should be more generous. Xu Bing said. But. Shen Shui wanted to say something. Xu Bing interrupted her directly and said with a firm look in her eyes, remember, girls are always right. Shen Shui nodded in agreement. But, this matter can't be left like this. She needs it urgently. Thinking of this, Shen Shui got up and walked to the back. Looking at Su Chen who was chatting and laughing, she stretched out her hand proudly and said, Where are the things you brought me? Is this what a distant cousin should do? Su Chen asked casually. Did you buy it at all? Shen Shui frowned in dissatisfaction. Did you pay? Su Chen looked up. Money? How dare he mention money? Shen Shui didn't react for a moment, and said angrily, Unless you go down and buy it for me now, I will never give you this opportunity in the future. The arrogant attitude seemed to say, kneel down and I'll beg you for something. There is no limit to being a dog licker. If it were in the past, Su Chen would really go down to buy it. After all, being late for the goddess is a definite plus. But now he just felt ironic and said indifferently, It doesn't matter. Then you are not allowed to bring me breakfast and milk tea in the future. Shen Shui said angrily. Thank you. Su Chen was speechless, how could there be such a childish person? Shen Shui went back angrily. She was full of grievances. This boy who had given her infinite love made her lose face for the first time. Seeing her tearful eyes, Xu Bing quickly came forward and asked with concern, What did he say? I'm so angry, he actually asked me for money. You say, how can a boy ask a girl for money? Shen Shui said with gnashing eyes. There must be something wrong when things are abnormal. Don't worry, I probably understand what's going on. After a little thought, Xu Bing smiled. Many men want what only green tea can give. As the female strategist, she has a rich emotional life, and her tea art makes countless boys lose themselves. Especially when she called him brother, who can resist the coquetry of a sweet girl? Because of this, Shen Shui admired her deeply and naturally trusted her very much. Tell me quickly, what does he want? Shen Shui asked aggrievedly. You haven't smelled the sourness even though the vinegar jar has been overturned. Xu Bing said bluntly. Shen Shui was slightly stunned, and soon asked with sudden realization, You mean, he's jealous? It's obvious, everyone knows he likes you, but last night on 520 you not only stood him up, but also went out to eat and watch a movie with another boy, how can he not be jealous? He is now expressing his dissatisfaction with you in this way. Xu Bing said with a relaxed expression. Then, what should I do? Chen Shuo suddenly felt like the clouds had cleared and understood what was going on. Men are animals that can't be abused without being abused. The more abused, the more love. Listen to me, don't answer the phone, don't reply to the message, ignore him, and within 3 days, he will definitely take the initiative to come back and show his courtesy. Xu Bing said confidently. I understand this, the main point is not to spoil one. Chen Shuo nodded knowingly. There are only 4 words for men to control women, rich and powerful, but do you know which 4 words women use to control men? Xu Bing asked with a proud look on his face. Soft voice. Flirting. Perturbations. Suspenders and black stockings. Chen Shuo counted them out like a treasure. All of them, but the killer is the one who said, "Brother, I want you." Xu Bing said with a chuckle. Har har, it has to be you? Chen Shuo said shyly. Su Chen's major is information management and information systems. Yes, it's that weird major that makes people unemployed after graduation. Students who can't write code as well as computer science students want to take management positions, but fresh graduates often don't have enough experience and qualifications. Because of this, in the ranking of cancelled majors in recent years, it ranked second only to public utilities management. In fact, Su Chen's favorite major is civil engineering. But back then, he was only focused on charging for love and didn't think so much. This class is C language. Soon, a middle-aged man with a thin face and thick glasses walked into the classroom. This is their head teacher Yu Xiaoxin. Associate professor, master's tutor. There are still 2 minutes before class starts. After putting down the textbook, Yu Xiaoxin walked to Su Chen and leaned over. I took a project, and now the graduate students I lead are in charge. But recently there are not enough people. If you are interested, you can bring a classmate to practice together. There is a basic subsidy, although it is not much. I will send you the contact information later. Yu Xiaoxin said enthusiastically. Thank you, Teacher Yu. Su Chen quickly stood up and thanked. Generally speaking, freshmen have limited professional knowledge and are not qualified to help teachers with projects. But everyone knows that he went to a second-tier university with 985 and 211 scores, so he is also particularly taken care of by the teacher. The classmates all cast envious eyes. Xu Bing muttered happily, look, isn't this step here? What? Chen Shuo was confused. Didn't Lao Yu ask him to bring a classmate with him? It's a rare opportunity, he will definitely think of you first. But if he really finds you, you must be well-mannered and don't agree to it easily. Xu Bing repeatedly reminded. Humph, I won't forgive him easily this time. Chen Shuo said proudly with her cherry lips. As the bell rang, Lao Yu started the class. Su Chen sat in the back row and secretly browsed his phone. Leibs founded Xiaomi in the capital. The first 3D movie, Avatar, was released in mainland China. The dating program, If You Are the One, premiered on Jiangsu Satellite TV. The opening ceremony of the World Expo was held grandly at the Shanghai World Expo Cultural Center in China. The ultimate gorgeous first-class passerby handsome guy, the beggar Prince Sharp brother attracted attention. Phone's sister, who claimed to have read a lot of books since the age of 9, reached the peak at the age of 20, and her IQ was unmatched in the past 300 years and the next 300 years, became popular on the internet. Browsing these familiar news, Su Chen felt a sudden awakening. Although there is no system and no golden finger after rebirth, he can clearly remember everything that will happen in the future. It is said that money is hard to earn, shit is hard to eat, and it is hard to be a turtle. When a man has no money, he is like a mollusk with a spine pulled out. He can't straighten his waist or lift his head. He is even worse than a dog. But for Su Chen at this moment, he was like a PK boss wearing orange clothes coming to the novice village, focusing on information asymmetry. This year, the initial value of Bitcoin was set at $0.0025, about 1.8 yuan. This year, the share price of Quichou Moutai was 13.9 yuan. This year, the housing price in the capital was just over 20,000 yuan. Chapter 4 In this life, it's my turn to spoil you. Some people say that the most profitable methods are written in the criminal law. But for the reborn Su Chen, life is like turning on a cheat, and everything becomes easy. Just when he was deeply trapped in the vortex of making money and couldn't extricate himself, Xiong Yi, Bo and Chen Shuo whispered about the World Cup and argued over the ownership of the championship. The 3 parties couldn't agree, so they decided to seek advice from Su Chen, Brother Chen, who do you think will win this World Cup? Spain. Su Chen blurted out. Why? I, 5-star Brazil, am the first to express my dissatisfaction. Bo, a die-hard fan of the Sambar army, expressed dissatisfaction. We were eliminated by the Netherlands in the quarter-finals. Su Chen smiled faintly. What about the German tank? Chen Shuo asked immediately. We were killed by Spain in the semi-finals. Su Chen said lightly. TSK, you say it as if you have seen it. Chen Shuo closed the book disapprovingly. What about the Netherlands? Bo became interested. The Netherlands is the runner-up, the golden ball goes to Diego Forlan, the golden boot goes to Thomas Muller, and the golden glove goes to Casillas. Su Chen talked freely, but he stopped talking. Because he was pleasantly surprised to find that he not only remembered the results of the game clearly, but also the scores and the time when the goals were scored. If he bought football lottery, he could achieve financial freedom in one go. 5:40. As the bell rang, Su Chen and his four friends rushed out, deliberately leaving Shen Shui and Xu Bing behind. Being a Sigma man, never look back. In the last life, I met Lu Yao tonight, and I had to go to the appointment as soon as possible. So after walking out of the teaching building, Su Chen went straight to the cafeteria. The world is big, but eating is the biggest. On the way, Chen Shuo shouted. A real man should be equipped with 3-foot chopsticks and eat the best food. Xiong Yi echoed. If the heavens had not given me a huge mouth of the abyss, my esophagus would be like a long night forever. Here comes the meal. Bo said proudly. Among the four, only Su Chen did not speak. He walked forward with his head down, looking like he was worried. Are you still thinking about Shen Shui? Xiong Yi walked up and teased. Women only affect the speed at which I eat. Su Chen looked up and laughed. That's right. Xiong Yi breathed a sigh of relief. Bo and Chen Shuo also rushed up. The four of them walked towards the cafeteria with their arms around each other, talking and laughing. The happiness of men is so simple, plain and boring. Qinyuan Cafeteria. Su Chen ordered a bowl of green pepper and shredded pork clay pot rice. Shen Shui and Xu Bing came and sat opposite him not long after he sat down. Su Chen didn't want to look at them anymore. So he hurriedly ate 2 bites and got up to leave, and asked Xiong Yi to take the book back to the dormitory. Where are you going? Xiong Yi asked loudly. The angel has appeared. My buddy is going to do something big. Wait for my good news. Su Chen said without hiding anything, and then left without looking back. Angel? Isn't this talking about me? Shen Shui, who was busy eating, curled up her lips slightly, and showed a comfortable smile on her face. Aside, Xu Bing said proudly, pretend not to see, and look at you thousands of times. You see, I'm not wrong, he is deliberately attracting your attention. You can't hold it after just leaving him alone for a few hours. You are really useless. Shen Shui laughed proudly. He said he was going to do something big. I guess he must be going to prepare a gift for you. Xu Bing said confidently. I won't forgive him easily this time. Shen Shui curled her lips. You have always wanted an iPad, and now it's delivered to your door. Xu Bing reminded. Humph, that depends on his performance. Shen Shui said with a goddess style, straightening her chest. Riverside Park. Su Chen took bus number 7 to come here. In his previous life, he and Lu Yao met here. The river breeze was blowing, and the river water sparkled in the night, as if thousands of diamonds were flashing, dazzling. I looked at the time, and it was almost time. On the riverside, Su Chen sat on the steps, and all that came to his mind was Lu Yao's shadow. From delivering meals in the early morning, delivering umbrellas when it rained, delivering clothes when it was cold, delivering medicine when sick, and then saving money to deliver computers. How could I be so worthy of a girl to be so humble? I vaguely remember a letter she left before she went to the beautiful country, which shared a passage. I have many requests in my life. I want the wine in the bottle to be full, I want a good night to be happy, I want the swallows to come back, and a bright moon to keep my old friends together. But the words in this world are short and the meaning is long, my words can't reach your north bank. Lovesickness stops at thousands of mountains. Now I know that the sky is wide and the earth is far away, and I don't want to make it difficult for you. The last request is just one sentence, the world is bitter, I wish you peace. Su Chen only glanced at this passage, but he has always remembered it in his heart. When he first read it, he thought Lu Yao was hypocritical, but when he read it again, he saw a broken heart, and every word was tearful. Thinking without speaking, thinking without forgetting, thinking without seeing, loving without getting. Lu Yao's life was like this. The more Su Chen thought about it, the more guilty he felt. Men are really pigs. They ignore their hot school belle who pursues them, but are obsessed with a green tea bitch who keeps fish everywhere. I am guilty. I really deserve to die. Fortunately, regrets can be made up. You pursued me in the previous life, and in this life, it is my turn to pamper you. Suddenly, I want to see her as soon as possible, from stranger to familiar, from the street to the living room, from you are good to you are really good. In the previous life, Lu Yao accidentally fell into the turbulent river and was unconscious when she was rescued. Su Chen came to the riverside to relax because of the frustration of confession, and happened to encounter this critical scene. Because he had received first aid knowledge training, he immediately started to rescue, and through professional cardiopulmonary resuscitation, he successfully restored Lu Yao's weak signs of life. Later, because he was worried, he went to the hospital to stay all night until he confirmed that she was out of danger. This unintentional act made Lu Yao unforgettable. Love is the most painful, and one sigh can lead to a lifetime of delusion. Someone fell into the water. Someone suddenly shouted loudly by the river. It's Lu Yao. Su Chen looked over and was shocked. He knew that the moment he had been waiting for had finally arrived. Without a moment's hesitation, he rushed to the riverside and jumped into the surging river. The river was rolling, and the rapids were like arrows. The undercurrents were surging, appearing and disappearing from time to time, like cunning beasts. But Su Chen had no time to care about these dangers, and just swam hard in the direction where Lu Yao fell into the water. After great efforts, with the help of two swimming enthusiasts, he finally brought Lu Yao back to the shore. At this time, an old man leaned over and prepared to perform artificial respiration. Su Chen panicked. In a hurry, he kicked hard. For a moment, everyone looked over in confusion. The old man lying on the ground frowned and complained, "Young man, you are so irritable, I will not get up if I lie down." Su Chen, who felt embarrassed, quickly explained, "She is my girlfriend, even if she needs artificial respiration, she should." Su Chen is a landlubber and can't swim at all. He was eager to save people just now and didn't think too much. He drank several mouthfuls of river water. After recovering from his shock, he squatted on the ground and coughed continuously, as if he was going to cough out his entire lung. "You can't swim?" the old man questioned. Su Chen shook his head slightly. "This person is capable and really goes forward when there is something going on." The old man nodded appreciatively and slowly got up. Lu Yao had just fallen into the water and was not seriously injured. For safety reasons, the two followed the 120 ambulance that came to their hospital for a checkup. After 2 hours of tossing and turning, they finally walked out of the hospital. "My name is Lu Yao, from Sanjiang University, thank you for saving me." At the entrance of the hospital, Lu Yao took the initiative to extend her hand. "My name is Su Chen." Just as he was about to introduce himself, Lu Yao smiled and said, "Su Chen from the School of Computer Science, I know you. Am I so famous?" Su Chen looked overflattered. She has a pair of bright eyes, clear and bright as stars. She is tall and slender, elegant and charming, with a delicate face and fair skin. Her satin-like black hair flutters in the wind, and her face is filled with a sweet smile, which makes people fascinated. "I have heard about your story. You got the scores of 985 and 211, but you came to Sanjiang University for love. This has been passed down as a good story in the school," Lu Yao said enthusiastically. "This is all in the past." Su Chen didn't want to talk about it. "The girl who was with you must be very happy," Lu Yao said enviously. "Some people are only suitable for you to grow up, and some stories are only suitable for collection." Taking a deep breath, Su Chen smiled bitterly. "Could it be that you?" Lu Yao hesitated. "Not all likes can be fulfilled," Su Chen said self-deprecatingly. The two hit it off right away, like bosom friends who had not met for many years. They talked about everything from studies to life, from hobbies to life ideals, with endless topics to talk about. The night deepened and the lights came on. A bright moon hung high in the sky, casting a soft silver glow. Back to the campus, they strolled together on the quiet tree-lined path. The evening breeze gently blew, bringing a hint of coolness. Su Chen, you saved me today, how can I thank you? Lu Yao suddenly stopped and looked at Su Chen sincerely. Under the street lights, her eyes flashed with gratitude. Su Chen smiled slightly and shook his head gently. I just did what I should do. But you can't swim. Lu Yao's voice was a little choked. Su Chen was suddenly at a loss. Touching his nose, a warm current surged in his heart. After all, they just met, and he didn't want to show his feelings too much. There happened to be a milk tea shop on the side of the road, and Su Chen had an idea. Why don't you buy me a cup of milk tea, as a thank you to me? Lu Yao readily agreed. Okay, what flavor do you want? Su Chen's mouth curled up a sly smile. Vanilla coconut milk tea, no coconut, no milk tea. Only vanilla? Go find your girlfriend. The clerk rolled his eyes at Su Chen in dissatisfaction. Su Chen smiled. The innocent Lu Yao was confused. The two chatted all the way and unknowingly came to the downstairs of the girls' dormitory. Su Chen looked at Lu Yao, his heartbeat seemed to be in sync with his steps. He wanted to seize this opportunity to further narrow the distance between the two. Are you free this Sunday? Su Chen asked with courage, his voice revealing expectation. Lu Yao's face flushed when she heard this. She said playfully, you want to take advantage of me again. I understand you this time. However, the smile on her lips was like a spring breeze blowing across the lake, ripples, revealing her inner joy. She nodded and accepted Su Chen's invitation. Just then, Su Chen noticed that Lu Yao's shoelaces were loose, and he quickly and gently said, wait a minute. He immediately squatted down and carefully tied her shoelaces. Lu Yao was flattered. She looked down at Su Chen, her eyes full of gratitude and tenderness, like the warm sun in winter, full of warm brilliance. The night was hazy, and the faint moonlight sprinkled on the two of them, reflecting a quiet and romantic atmosphere, as if their whole world was trapped in this beautiful picture. However, at this moment, a figure came towards them. It was Xiong Yi. When she saw Su Chen tying Lu Yao's shoelaces, she felt like she was hit by a club, and a trace of unconcealable surprise and disappointment flashed across her face. Chapter 5 What a White Lotus! The two girls looked at each other, and the atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Xiong Yi was still calm. She knew the girl opposite, Lu Yao, a freshman in software engineering at the School of Computer Science. Both of them were praised as school beauties because of their beautiful faces, but they had been competing with each other secretly. In the school sports meeting in the first semester of freshman year, Lu Yao beat her with an absolute advantage and became the sign-holding girl of the school. At that time, she was dressed in white, fairy, seductive and pure. Her irresistible pure sports style amazed the whole school and became the goddess in the hearts of countless people. Because of her explosive appearance, she became popular on the internet overnight and was praised as a walking enrollment brochure. Even the school official microblog used her for publicity. In the subsequent selection of hosts for the welcome party, the two of them formed a competitive relationship. Finally, Xiong Yi got what she wanted and shined at the welcome party. But she later learned that it was because Lu Yao was sick and voluntarily gave up, so she had the opportunity to stand out. In the words of the Minister of Arts and Literature, she was just Lu Yao's substitute. She has always been very confident, but this incident made her depressed for a long time. Xiong Yi was actually very unconvinced. In terms of face, if Lu Yao is as beautiful as a fish sinking and a wild goose falling, she is as beautiful as a moon hiding in shame. They both have their own merits, and neither is inferior to the other. However, when it comes to figure, Xiong Yi feels guilty. Lu Yao is tall, with legs below her waist, which are white, straight, thin and long. The slender waist that can be grasped is like a willow swaying in the wind, which makes people very excited. Su Chen was tying his shoelaces with his head down, and he didn't notice it. After being reminded, he raised his head and took a look. In Xiong Yi's eyes, he saw anger. But Su Chen did his own thing and didn't mean to stop. Not only that, he untied Lu Yao's other shoelace with his backhand and tied it again. Su Chen, what do you mean? Xiong Yi couldn't bear it anymore, and finally rushed up. Is there something wrong? Su Chen stood up calmly. The killing power of Bai Yueguang is too great. Even after rebirth, he found that he could not look directly into her eyes and could only try to forget. Don't you think you should apologize to me for what happened today? Xiong Yi asked angrily. I didn't do anything wrong, why should I apologize? Su Chen raised his eyebrows slightly. Xiong Yi was angry. But after all, Lu Yao was here, and she didn't want to lose her composure. So after trying to calm down her dissatisfaction, she said casually, "I just had dinner with Ju Chao last night and watched a movie together. Do you have to be so serious? Besides, he made an appointment a day in advance. He can't go back on his promise, right? You don't have to explain this to me, and I don't care." Su Chen said indifferently. "If you really don't care, why do you play this drama in front of me?" Shen Shui said proudly. "Acting?" It turns out that in her eyes, Lu Yao is an actor invited by Su Chen. Because of this, Shen Shui is more and more proud. Xu Bing is right. Men need to be beaten. Look, the always noble Lu Yao has also become a supporting role. It's just that her strange train of thought makes Su Chen feel ridiculous. The former white moonlight turns out to be so boring. This world allows too much self-love. Some women think they are charming when they are glanced at by men. Shen Shui is like this. Fortunately, Su Chen has let it go long ago. In the previous life, it was because he took others too seriously that he was regarded as nothing by others. Wang Zhuan once said, "The three best teachers in life are a dry wallet, a failed experience, and her who is leaving." Life is short, and the rest of life is expensive. There is no need to waste energy on someone who doesn't love you. Su Chen was too lazy to entangle with it, so he pulled Lu Yao and wanted to leave. But Shen Shui didn't want to. She had always been suppressed by Lu Yao, and this was a good opportunity to turn things around. So she found the right opportunity and said with a hint of sarcasm, "Why do you have to learn to be a mistress when you are young? You are really a white lotus." If it were in the previous life, Su Chen would definitely turn a deaf ear to it. After all, the goddess's mood is the most important. But at this moment, he was not indulgent. He immediately looked at Lu Yao tenderly and asked, "Do you have a boyfriend?" Lu Yao shook her head slightly, "No." "Then I'm surprised, you said we are both single, who is she implying is a mistress?" Su Chen said sarcastically. "Su Chen, what do you mean?" Shen Shui was angry. Su Chen's sabotage in front of her made her feel ashamed. This man who had spoiled her in every way was standing on the opposite side again. "Distant cousin, just." Su Chen said self-deprecatingly. "I just said it casually." Shen Shui explained rarely. "Are you afraid that Ju Chao will misunderstand you?" "But it doesn't matter anymore." Su Chen said indifferently. He immediately winked at Lu Yao, and she quickly followed him and prepared to leave with him. "Stop right there, did I let you go?" Shen Shui still had a bossy attitude. She could dislike Su Chen, but she would never allow Lu Yao to take him away. This was a love game, and she couldn't lose. "I think the term, green tea bitch, is particularly suitable for you, you taste it carefully." Su Chen said with a wry smile. "I've been reborn, can I still be controlled by you? When I love you, you can do whatever you want in my world, but if I don't love you anymore, please stay away." The term, green tea bitch, was born at the Haitian Xinjiang in 2013, specifically referring to those women who pretend to be harmless, heartbroken, and peaceful, but are sick and disaster-stricken, but in fact they are more ambitious than anyone else. It was only 2010, so Shen Shui certainly didn't understand what green tea bitch meant. But the word bitch was particularly harsh, and it was not a good word at first. When had Shen Shui ever suffered such grievances? She had been a child of other people's families since she was young, and she was a goddess in the eyes of boys when she grew up. Everyone loved her, and flowers bloomed when she saw her. Pursuers lined up to show their affection. No matter where she went, she was the center of attention among the crowd. But at this moment, she was actually called a bitch by Su Chen, who had always been servile. Shen Shui was broken. She had originally planned to go to the supermarket downstairs to buy sanitary napkins, but now she had no intention of doing so, and returned to the dormitory with red eyes. "Xiexue, what's wrong with you?" Seeing that she lay on the desk and sobbed softly after returning, Xu Bing, who was applying a facial mask, hurried forward. "Bing Bing, you are experienced and knowledgeable. Tell me what green tea bitch means." Shen Shui looked over with tears in her eyes, crying like a pear blossom in the rain. "I haven't heard of this word." Xu Bing shook his head slightly, and then asked, "Why do you suddenly ask this?" "I saw Su Chen and Lu Yao downstairs of the dormitory. At that time, Su Chen was tying her shoelaces. I was so angry that I scolded Lu Yao as a white lotus, but Su Chen, in order to stand up for her, actually said that I was a green tea bitch." Shen Shui felt more and more wronged as she spoke. How could the man who always obeyed her be ambiguous with other women? Not to mention that it was her competitor Liu Yao. Tie shoelaces. I understand. You don't think Liu Yao likes Su Chen, do you? After thinking for a moment, Xu Bing burst into laughter. How is it possible? Liu Yao is a darling of heaven. Not only is she good at studying, but she is also a high-ranking school beauty. I heard that there is a rich second generation in the finance department who has been pursuing her. How could she like Su Chen? A roommate who was playing games next to her said mockingly. Could it be, I misunderstood him? Chen Shuo looked inconfident. Think carefully, is it possible that they are acting on purpose, just to make you jealous? Xu Bing said proudly. No way. Chen Shuo was slightly stunned, and her eyes became blurred. Don't forget, you are his goddess. He can even give up 985 and 211 schools for you. What else can he not do? If you ask him to die, I guess he won't hesitate. Xu Bing said with a face full of confidence. But how could Liu Yao cooperate with him in acting? Chen Shuo still felt something was wrong. They are both in the student union. They meet each other every day. It's not difficult to ask her to help. Xu Bing said with a pout. I still can't accept him saying I'm a green tea bitch. Chen Shuo puffed her lips, and she was upset about it. Then let him go for 2 days to let him know the dangers of society. Xu Bing smiled. What do you think men are for? After a moment of calm, Chen Shuo felt much better. It's still useful when needed. Xu Bing chuckled. Scrap girl. Chen Shuo complained crazily. Su Chen took Liu Yao around the girls' dormitory and they went straight to the football field next to them. That's Chen Shuo, your goddess. Walking on the runway, Liu Yao looked at Su Chen with a confused look. There's a saying, marriage is for happiness, divorce is also for happiness, and not getting married is also for happiness. Su Chen said with a smile. You came to Sanjiang University for her, are you, having a conflict? Liu Yao asked cautiously. Her eyes are very beautiful, with the breeze in the mountains and the bright moon in the water, but not me. Taking a deep breath, Su Chen smiled bitterly. Okay, I don't understand, but if there is a misunderstanding, it's better to make it clear in time. Liu Yao said calmly. If I look back, I will be guilty of death. Su Chen shook his head firmly. Don't advise others to be kind without experiencing their suffering. The best sobriety for adults is to stop at the right time. You weigh the pros and cons, I stop the loss in time, rush to be worthwhile, give up neatly, don't consume yourself, don't delay others, know how to let go. Liu Yao was a little surprised, it seems that she didn't expect them to get to this point. Su Chen was too lazy to explain, but when facing her, he said very gently, it's getting late, I'll take you home. Downstairs of the girls' dormitory. Just before Liu Yao was about to turn around, Su Chen mustered up the courage to ask, can I add your WeChat? R. Liu Yao looked at him with surprise. If it's not convenient, forget it. Su Chen was a little nervous. You can't eat hot tofu in a hurry, this matter has to be done slowly. Anyway, I've decided on her in this life. What is WeChat? Liu Yao tilted her head and expressed her confusion. This. Su Chen hesitated, looking embarrassed. WeChat was officially launched on January 21, 2011, but it is only May 2010 now. So after realizing that he had said something that should not exist in this era, he quickly made up for it by saying, I was talking about QQ. Liu Yao smiled and picked up her phone to fiddle with it seriously. Soon, something started to jump on Su Chen's QQ. A friend named Yuan Ruxue sent a smiley face. Your name is Yuan Ruxue. Su Chen was a little surprised, and then asked with an embarrassed look, when did I add your QQ? When I just joined the student union last year, we both left contact information to each other, but you never noticed me. Liu Yao laughed at herself with a wronged look. I am guilty. Su Chen apologized quickly, and then changed the note to big creditor. What does big creditor mean? Liu Yao stood on tiptoe and took a peek. I owed you in my last life, and I will pay it back in this life. Su Chen responded half-truthfully. Why, you want to chase me? How many kidneys do you have? I don't want to be a white lotus. Liu Yao ran into the dormitory building with a giggle, then stuck her head out and added, thank you for today, see you later. Chapter 6 Handsome and rich, how is he not better than Su Chen? There is moonlight in the sky, the sea in the valley, and a beloved in front of him. Looking at Liu Yao jogging all the way, Su Chen's heart surged. How nice it would be if time could stay at this moment. Regrets can be made up, and tragedies will not happen again. I think God has been kind to me, and everything is just right. After returning to the dormitory, Xiong Yi was watching the TV version of Myth on PPS with relish. It is the large-scale TV series with 50 episodes, but in people's minds, there are only 8 episodes of Myth, because many people gave up the show after watching the death of Lu Su in the 8th episode. But to be honest, Bai Bing, who plays Princess Yu Shu, is really beautiful. When I first saw her, I was shocked. Bo and Chen Shuo argued endlessly about who was the first in the league between Snail Shell and the Little Emperor. Bo said that the Little Emperor was the big brush in the league, the six-step man, the hand-spreading James, the pit teammates, and only cared about the data regardless of winning or losing. Chen Shuo ridiculed Snail for driving away the great shark, turning against his parents, the Eagle County incident, being alone and strong, cheating in marriage, etc. It's great that he's still alive. Su Chen sighed as if in a dream. These two big trolls quarreled all night. Xiong Yi complained crazily. Su Chen didn't bother to pay attention and went into the bathroom to take a shower. When he was halfway through the shower, Xiong Yi shouted outside, "Brother Chen, there's a beauty." Su Chen asked excitedly, "Who is it?" Xiong Yi said truthfully, "It's the big creditor." Su Chen was slightly stunned, and after realizing that it was Liu Yao who sent the QQ message, he quickly reminded, "Stay there and don't move, I'll be out soon." 3 minutes later, when he rushed out impatiently, Xiong Yi, Chen Shuo and Bo lined up and stared at him like a prisoner. Xiong Yi raised his phone and teased meaningfully, "No wonder you dared to be so tough with Xin Shui today. It turns out that you have been hooking up with the school beauty behind her back." "Liu Yao is my goddess," Chen Shuo said without any concealment. "How do you know it's her?" Su Chen looked surprised. "I just checked her QQ space," Xiong Yi said proudly. "Tell me the truth, how far have you two gone?" "You've even started to make dinner plans?" Bo asked with envy. "Make dinner plans?" Su Chen was overjoyed and snatched the phone. The big creditor sent a QQ message, "Are you free tomorrow night? I want to treat you to a meal." Su Chen was overjoyed and quickly replied, "Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock downstairs of the girls' dormitory, see you there." Liu Yao replied in seconds, "See you there." Liu Yao is the white moonlight in the hearts of all the boys in our class. What kind of shit luck do you have? Why did she ask you to dinner? Bo asked. "Brother Chen, this is a seamless transition," Chen Shuo said in amazement. "As expected, as long as the new love is good enough, there will be no ex who can't forget it." Xiong Yi looked over with envy. "Keep a low profile, go to bed." Su Chen was too lazy to explain and climbed onto the bed directly. A man without money is like a dog. A man without money is nothing. In Beijing Love Story, Shi Xiaming's definition of a woman is, you can have nothing, you can even have no dreams, because you are a woman, you can live very easily, you just need to marry a man, you have everything. But men can't do that. I am a man, and men must succeed. If he doesn't succeed, he will have no money, no house, no car, and will only be looked down upon by others. Poverty is a disease. So for the reborn Su Chen, making money is the top priority. He clearly remembered that after his confession failed in his previous life, he bought a note of the double color ball at a roadside welfare lottery store, and won the fourth prize of 200 yuan. The winning numbers are 010 for 11 17 18 28 plus 12. The third prize is to choose 6 plus 1 and hit 5 plus 0 or 4 plus 1. Unfortunately, he didn't know which two he got wrong, otherwise he could have won this round. But it doesn't matter. Although the fourth prize is not much, he can add bets crazily and still make a lot of money. Thinking of this, he quickly took a look at the money in his hand. The cosmetics were refunded 400 yuan, and after deducting the 130 yuan for meals, there was still 270 yuan left. In addition, he still had 230 yuan for living expenses, a total of only 500 yuan. 500 yuan can buy 250 bets. If nothing unexpected happens, he will become a millionaire after this round. Considering that he has to have dinner with Liu Yao tomorrow, he can't let a woman pay for it. He must borrow money. It's a pity that there is no Huabei, Jibei, or Wiladai in this era, otherwise there would be no need to be so embarrassed. Big Bear, do you think we are good brothers? Su Chen first targeted Xiong Yi for money. You can't spit out ivory from a dog's mouth, so fart quickly. Xiong Yi looked up and said. Will you help your brother if he is in trouble? Su Chen asked in a persuasive way. For a brother, I will stick my neck out. Xiong Yi said with a solemn oath. Then lend me 200. Su Chen blurted out. Get lost. Great. It was reasonable to be rejected. Because it was the end of the month, he had been robbed and was running out of living expenses. Su Chen wanted to try his luck with Bo and Chen Shuo, but they both ran away with one excuse to make a phone call and the other to take a shower. The next morning, May 22nd, Saturday. Su Chen was still asleep when he was awakened by Bo's words. Brother Chen, you are on the Yiling morning news. Bo, who was sitting on the bed, said in surprise. Let me see. Chen Shuo, who was on the bed opposite, quickly grabbed the phone and read it out carefully. Although the river is cold, the heart is warm. A college student who ran at night bravely rescued a girl who fell into the water. Look, this girl is Lu Yao. Bo recognized her at a glance. Don't say it, it's true. Is this how you hooked up? Chen Shuo asked with envy. After the matter is done, you left, hiding your identity and name. Brother Chen, you are too big-minded. You didn't mention such a big thing last night. Xiong Yi said with great admiration. It's just a little effort, but how did this thing break out? Su Chen was confused. He remembered that after the examination at the hospital last night, a man with glasses did interview with a camera. He didn't think much of it at the time. Now it seems that the man with glasses should be a news reporter. As for why he knew the identity and name, he should have found out at the hospital. He and Lu Yao registered when they were examined. At the same time, Xu Bing in the girls' dormitory also saw the news. What a hero saving a beauty. No wonder Lu Yao is willing to help act, isn't this the reason? Xu Bing, who was swiping her phone, said with a smug look on her face. What? Shen Shuo, who was putting on makeup, asked softly. Take a look at this first. Xu Bing handed over the phone. Isn't this Lu Yao? Shen Shuo glanced at it and then read it softly. The river is rolling, the undercurrent is surging. Su Chen jumped into the water regardless of the danger. She fell silent as she read. She simply put down her phone and sat there with a lot on her mind. What are you thinking about? Are you worried that Su Chen will fall in love with Lu Yao? Don't you have any confidence at all? After taking back the phone, Xu Bing laughed and teased. It's not that I don't have confidence in myself, but I don't have confidence in Lu Yao. Shen Shuo said anxiously. With her vision, how could she possibly like Su Chen? Besides, she has already been taken. Guo Hao, a rich second generation from the finance department, has been pursuing her. Xu Bing said meaningfully. What should I do now? Shen Shuo asked with a confused look on her face. Don't take the initiative, don't accept, don't refuse, just be close and distant, and keep hanging him. Xu Bing said confidently. But what if? Shen Shuo was still a little nervous. But Xu Bing held her shoulders and said firmly, no what if. Sister, you are the campus belle of Sanjiang University. People who like you line up from Qinyuan to Yiling Square. Believe in yourself. I listen to you? Shen Shuo nodded proudly. Hurry up and put on your makeup. Zhu Chao should be here soon. Xu Bing urged. Tell me, if Su Chen knew that I went to Sanjiang University with him, would he be angry? Shen Shuo began to feel embarrassed again. It's not just the two of you. Don't you have me as a light bulb? Don't say it. I've wanted to go to Sanjiang University for a long time, but the ticket is a little expensive. Fortunately, Mr. Zhu is treating us this time, otherwise I can't bear to go. Xu Bing said happily. The fact that Su Chen saved someone from drowning soon spread throughout the campus. Near noon, the counselor and the head teacher Lao Yu also called one after another to ask in detail what happened. During the period, the counselor praised his behavior and said that he would apply for a school commendation for him. But Su Chen refused. This matter has been a hot topic, and he doesn't want to cause too much trouble to Lu Yao. At noon, Shen Shuo posted a message on QQ Space. Whether you are loved by everyone or walk alone, we should not let ourselves down in the future. Location, Sanjiang People's Home. Pictures, Lantern Stone, Moon Bay, Stone Token. Among them, there is a cool boy wearing Tyrannosaurus glasses next to the Lantern Stone, who is Zhu Chao from the School of Civil Engineering. Bing Bing, do you think Chen will deepen his misunderstanding when he sees me and Zhu Chao hanging out together? Shen Shui asked nervously before posting the message. You are just the same. Wasn't he with Lu Yao last night? Xu Bing, who was taking a selfie, made a yeah gesture. But I don't want to hurt him. Shen Shui said with an embarrassed look. What is a master's fight? It seems to be playing hard to get, but in fact it is a trick. After this wave, Chen will definitely not be able to control himself. Once he sees your post, he will go crazy and apologize to you at night. Xu Bing said confidently. But what if he is really angry? Shen Shui asked, biting her lips tightly. I really can't do anything about you. Take Zhu Chao for example. He is handsome, rich and not clingy. How is he not better than Chen? He is a tall, rich and handsome man that countless girls want but cannot get. If you catch this wave of wealth, you will be completely worry-free for the rest of your life. Xu Bing said seriously. That's right. She glanced at Zhu Chao secretly and smiled. By the way, he seemed to hold your hand when we were climbing the mountain just now. Xu Bing gossiped excitedly. The mountain is a bit steep. After taking a sip of milk tea, Shen Shui lowered her head quickly. What were you two doing hiding behind the rocks on the top of the mountain just now? Xu Bing asked in a coercive manner. Don't imagine, we didn't do anything. Shen Shui quickly denied it. Look, your lipstick is all smudged. Xu Bing joked. Shen Shui took out a small mirror and quickly touched up her makeup. She was idle anyway, so she started chatting with interest. I want to ask you something. It is said that a good horse will not turn back. You and Wang Yuan have broken up for so long, why do you still want to get back together with him? There are forests all over the street, why do you have to hang yourself on his tree? Xu Bing stroked her bangs, and then said charmingly, don't I understand the truth? But his tree knows my heart best. Shen Shui was so excited that she trembled, and her snowy face was red all of a sudden. What kind of fierce words are you? Xu Bing chuckled and said, whoever uses it will know. Chapter 7 You are glowing. Let's say that the four brothers Chen were having lunch in the cafeteria. Xiong Yi, Bo and Chen Shuo saw the post that Shen Shui posted privately, and they were all indignant. Being able to post Zhu Chao's photos openly on QQ Space, isn't this an official announcement? They all felt it was not worth it for Chen. They wanted to remind him, but they were afraid of hurting their self-esteem. So when they were eating, they kept putting vegetables on Chen's plate, such as green vegetables, broccoli, beans, water spinach, and all green vegetables. Chen Shuo generously bought him a bottle of green tea, saying something strange like, no woman in mind, draw the sword and become a god. Chen was reborn, how could he not see their little thoughts? In fact, he had seen the post that Shen Shui posted a long time ago, but he was not moved at all. It is said that there are 3 things that men must throw away: unsuitable shoes, friends who play around, and women who don't have you in their hearts. You can't hide your love for someone, and neither can you not love him. But the funds are not in place yet, so you can cry poor. The hint is so obvious, do you think I'm ridiculous? Chen asked self-deprecatingly after putting down his chopsticks. Brother Chen, you saw it too. Xiong Yi looked distressed. I'm not blind. Do you think I'm being cuckolded? Chen looked up at the sky outside at a 45-degree angle, trying not to let his tears fall. Shen Shui is too timing, I really didn't expect her to be such a person. Bo said indignantly. Stop the loss in time, don't think too much. Chen Shuo patted his shoulder gently to comfort him. Didn't Lu Yao invite you to dinner? Chase her. Xiong Yi blurted out. I refused. Chen sighed. Don't, she's much prettier than Shen Shui. Bo added quickly. How dare I, a clean-handed man, mislead a beautiful woman? Chen lowered his head in disappointment. What's the big deal? I still have 240 yuan. I'll keep 40 yuan for food and lend you the rest. Xiong Yi said generously, and immediately took out all his belongings. Seeing this, Bo and Chen Shuo also acted quickly. One of them took out 180 yuan, and the other gave 120 yuan. In total, this wave of selling misery earned a total of 500 yuan. Fearing that they would regret it, Chen rushed out of the cafeteria after getting the money. Wait, do you think we were cheated? Looking at Chen's figure that seemed to be escaping, Chen Shuo reflected. Do you think Shen Shui is also cooperating with him in acting? Xiong Yi said unhappily. Be a human being. Li Bo complained crazily. A welfare lottery store along the Riverside Avenue. After leaving school, Suchen took the bus to come here on purpose. He didn't want to attract anyone's attention about his rebirth, he just wanted to develop in a low-key and wretched way. So he deliberately chose a lottery shop far away from the school, but when he bet 3 times on a single bet, a total of 800 yuan, he still attracted the attention of the boss. Young man, do you have inside information? The boss saw that he was not very old and teased him while issuing tickets. Do you want to follow? This is the number I dreamed of last night. It will definitely win the jackpot. It just so happens that we can empty the prize pool together. Suchen said half-jokingly. Some time ago, a young man also said that he dreamed of a number that would win the jackpot. He bet 100,000 yuan. At that time, I advised him not to be impulsive, but he didn't listen. As a result, he lost everything. The boss joked. Are you trying to make a point to me? Suchen asked with a smile. 800 yuan is not worth it. In fact, you can choose a few more numbers, so the probability of winning will be higher. The boss said with a smile. Just bet on this number, and I will accept it if I don't win. Suchen said stubbornly. Then I wish you good luck. The boss shook his head and issued the ticket. After leaving the lottery shop, Suchen went to Oriental Haircut to get a hairstyle. If there is one thing that makes him most dissatisfied after his rebirth, it is this lame hairstyle. The messy hair looks like a ball of tangled threads, and also like a hedgehog with frizzy hair, just like a killer. No wonder Chen Shuo likes Ju Chao. At least in terms of hairstyle, he lost more than a little. So after discussing with Tony, he decisively designed a celibate airplane head for him. The effect is not bad. It is said that a good hairstyle is comparable to plastic surgery, but for Suchen at this moment, it is a head change. Even Tony couldn't help taking 2 photos to keep for publicity. With a figure of 1.83 meters, this neat and tidy hairstyle, coupled with the unparalleled confidence and handsome smile, walking on the streets of 2010, it is a complete dimensionality reduction attack. After a lot of trouble, Suchen returned to school slowly. 1,000 yuan in cash, 800 yuan for lottery tickets, 30 yuan for haircuts, and 2 yuan for bus rides. Now only 168 yuan is left. I don't know if it's enough, so I can only save money. At 6:50 in the evening, Suchen arrived at the downstairs of the girls' dormitory. I thought I would have to wait a while. After all, when I asked Chen Shuo out before, I had to wait at least half an hour even if I agreed to a time. But at this moment, just when Suchen arrived, a beautiful figure appeared in his sight. It was Liu Yao. She was wearing a white lace skirt, and the light skirt swayed with her steps, like a blooming lily swaying in the wind. The setting sun shone on her, as if she was covered with a golden halo, which was intoxicating. When she saw Suchen, she walked over quickly with a sweet smile on her face. At this moment, it seemed as if the whole world had stopped. Sorry, I kept you waiting. Liu Yao apologized with a mint green bag slung over her shoulder. I just got here too. Suchen hurriedly explained. Just when he was about to say something, Liu Yao burst out laughing. What's the matter? Suchen looked over in confusion. Your hairstyle is quite handsome today. I almost didn't recognize you. Liu Yao smiled. You'll get used to it. Suchen said proudly. After a brief discussion, the two decided to go to Wonder Plaza. Suchen wanted to stop a taxi, but Liu Yao pulled him on the bus. As the saying goes, there is no harm without comparison. When she went out with Chen Shuo before, she never took the bus, saying that she couldn't stand the strange smell on the bus. The two had hot pot at Wonder Hey Did You. The dishes were very rich, with frozen shrimps, small abalone, shrimp balls, tripe, blood sausage, etc. The environment was good and the food tasted good, but Suchen was not paying attention. The little food he had was definitely not enough for this hot pot. Just when he was worried about making a fool of himself when paying the bill, he didn't expect that Liu Yao actually paid the bill in advance. Suchen breathed a sigh of relief, but said with embarrassment, How can I let you pay for dinner with a boy? How much is it? I'll transfer it to you later. Liu Yao smiled and explained, You saved me last night, I have to thank you. Suchen waved his hand, It's just a little help. After walking out of Wonder Plaza, a crowd gathered not far away, and a little girl cried heartbreakingly. Suchen and Liu Yao looked at each other in bewilderment. Just then, a young man and woman walked out of the crowd. The man said indignantly, "This man has no sense of responsibility. He played with the girl and didn't marry her. He is a scumbag." The woman rolled her eyes and complained wildly, "That's better than you. Some people don't play with them even if they marry." The man looked embarrassed and lowered his head tactfully. Lu Yao giggled after hearing this, and the look she gave Su Chen was meaningful. They crossed the road and strolled along the river. "The moonlight is so beautiful," Lu Yao said quietly, looking up at the crescent moon hanging diagonally in the sky. Mr. Yu Guangzhong said that between the moonlight and the snow, you are the third most beautiful. For me, among the sun, moon and stars, you are the fourth most rare. Su Chen couldn't help but sigh. "Slippery tongue, are you like this when you are with Chen Shuo?" Lu Yao asked jealously. "I like the slow flow of water and the long-lasting cooking of red beans, and she wants to travel the world in debauchery. After all, she and I are not the same kind of people." Su Chen shook his head with a sense of loss. Lu Yao noticed his mood change and stopped asking questions immediately. Just as the two of them were walking near a monument, Lu Yao quickly changed the subject and asked, "You see, the monuments in our country are like a long sword inserted into the ground, with the hilt exposed, but the monuments abroad are like a long sword breaking out of the ground. Why is this?" Su Chen looked up and then muttered softly, "A gentleman hides his weapon in his body and waits for the right time to act. He shows others his bluntness and guides himself with his sharpness. He hides his sharpness to comfort his loyal bones and unsheathes to calm the mountains and rivers. The blade of our hero only points to the enemy, and his hilt is always in the hands of the people." The simple words made Lu Yao stunned in place, unable to let go for a long time. "Are you okay?" Su Chen turned his head and looked over. "Hidden sword comforts loyal bones, unsheathed sword calms mountains and rivers. Listening to your explanation, I really get goosebumps," Lu Yao said with admiration. "People's heroes will live forever," Su Chen said in a sonorous and powerful voice. "Look, you are glowing. Be measured in words, be moderate in play, be sufficient in work, and be virtuous in words." When Su Chen mentioned Yu Guangzhong's peerless beauty just now, she thought that Su Chen liked to be pretentious and show off his knowledge like those suitors, deliberately attracting her attention to win her heart. But after really hearing his explanation of the monument, she was impressed. He is really talented and knowledgeable. Lu Yao was completely convinced. It can be clearly felt that her favor for Su Chen has doubled, and even the look in her eyes when she looks at him has begun to draw lines. The lights are on and the neon lights are coming. The scenery by the river is embellished to be more romantic and charming. Not far away, a band was singing the most popular online song, "I Miss You Not Because I'm Lonely." The melody of this song filled the air and attracted many young people. "I miss you not because I'm lonely, but because I miss you, I'm lonely. When tears fall, all the scenery is silent." When the familiar lyrics sounded with the rhythm of the instruments, Su Chen suddenly felt like a dream. After looking at each other, the two of them walked over involuntarily. They were just joining in the fun. But unexpectedly, Zhu Chao and Chen Shuo were also here. For a moment, the four of them looked at each other, and the atmosphere suddenly became subtle and awkward. Zhu Chao, who had taken away someone's love, had an expression of a villain who had succeeded, but when he saw that Su Chen was next to the school beauty Lu Yao, his face immediately changed. You know, he had been pestering Lu Yao for almost half a year, but he never got a response. But now she came out with Su Chen. Zhu Chao was very upset. After a moment of silence, he looked at Chen Shuo lovingly and said, "Wait for me. I'll sing a song for you." Chapter 8. You are sweating all over, brother. The band accepts song requests. You can also sing by yourself, 10 yuan a song. After singing a song, Zhu Chao walked onto the stage with a smile and said, "Next, I will sing Love Business for my goddess Shen Shuo." Shen Shuo felt like sitting on pins and needles, like a thorn in her back, walking on thin ice, and like a fishbone stuck in her throat. When the familiar melody sounded, she stood below and was so embarrassed that she used her toes to dig out a 3-bedroom apartment. "It was you who wanted to separate. Separate. Now you want to coax me back with true love. Love is not something you can sell or buy. Let me break free, let me understand. Let go of your love." The familiar lyrics are catchy, but Zhu Chao is tone deaf. Except for the self-righteous high notes, he sang completely out of tune. On the side, Lu Yao couldn't help but complain, "Last time at the welcome party, a senior gave him a bouquet of flowers. He was ecstatic and really thought he sang well. I heard that he also pursued you. Su Chen asked with interest. He has pursued many people, but they are not my type. Lu Yao said with disgust. I also have a song for you. Su Chen suddenly plucked up the courage to say. This damn desire to win. He didn't know why he was so impulsive suddenly. Just felt that what Shen Shuo had, she should have, and even better. Did I hear it right? Lu Yao was flattered, covering her mouth with her hand and looking forward to it. Wait for me. Su Chen walked over quickly. He ordered a song because of love, but the song was not found on the song selection machine. The person in charge was a little embarrassed and quickly communicated with the members of the band. Unfortunately, they had never heard it either. Su Chen thought to himself, this song was released on January 10, 2011, so it's right that you haven't heard it before. So he asked for a guitar and prepared to sing it himself. After Zhu Chao finished singing, he came to Shen Shuo with a sense of satisfaction and asked proudly, how was the singing? A heavenly voice. Shen Shuo said against her will. Su Chen can sing too. Zhu Chao asked jokingly. Shen Shuo shook her head slightly and replied with a very complicated mood, I don't know, at least I have never heard him sing. It was rare to be able to suppress him, so Zhu Chao took the opportunity to sneer, the song he wants to sing can't be found on the song selection machine. Could it be that he made it up temporarily? I have to learn it well. Shen Shuo remained silent. Lu Yao rolled her eyes at him, with a look of disdain between her eyebrows. Give you a CD from the past. Listen to our love at that time. Sometimes I suddenly forget that I still love you. I can't sing such songs anymore. I will blush and avoid them when I hear them. Although I often forget that I still love you. This song comes from the future. I don't know the meaning of the song when I first hear it, but I am already in the song when I hear it again. The lyrics are deeply rooted in people's hearts and are written in a brilliant way, making people intoxicated. Because Su Chen didn't say on the stage who the song was dedicated to, Shen Shuo and Lu Yao both substituted it. Shen Shuo felt deeply about the sentence, sometimes I suddenly forget that I still love you, and she was secretly proud of herself, thinking that Su Chen was expressing his love from a distance, and the corners of her mouth rose involuntarily. On the other hand, Lu Yao's for sentences, because of love, were heartbreaking and hit the depths of her soul, making her excited and tears welling up. She firmly believed that this was the soulmate she was looking for. Zhu Chao was originally waiting to see the joke. But after noticing the expressions of Shen Shuo, Lu Yao and the people around him, he looked embarrassed and ashamed. After one song, everyone enjoyed it. After completing the dimensionality reduction attack, Su Chen was refreshed and was about to go down. But at this moment, someone in the crowd below shouted for another song, and the shouts came one after another. It was hard to refuse the kindness, so Su Chen glanced in Lu Yao's direction. At this moment, she was jumping and dancing like a little fangirl, constantly showing her love with her heart, and her eyebrows revealed an endless admiration. So Su Chen didn't hesitate and continued to sing The Wind Rises, The Sea of Stars, Children of the West Tower, and People Like Me. These songs are all Chinese pop hits that will be popular on the internet in the future, and both the lyrics and the melody are better than the current ones. As a reborn person, he didn't sing Little Apple and Gangnam Style, which is the greatest respect. If he sings Subject 3 again, how should you deal with it? He sang 5 songs in total, 50 yuan. Su Chen felt a pang of pain, which made his already poor life even worse. The people watching below were still urging him to sing, and he could have kept singing, such as Chengdu, Lone Brave Man, Confession Balloon, I'm Eating Fried Chicken in People's Square, etc., but his wallet wouldn't allow it. However, just as he took out the money to pay, the band leader smiled and waved his hand. According to our rules, you can get a free meal if you sing well. If there is such a good thing, I will be disrespectful to refuse it. Su Chen said neither servilely nor arrogantly. My name is Lin Qian, also known as Xiao Lin. Can you leave a contact number? Lin Qian asked politely. Write it down. Su Chen said calmly. What should I call you? Lin Qian asked. Su Chen. These songs are delicate in emotion and beautiful in artistic conception. You sang them with great emotion and lingering sound. Are they all original works of yours? Lin Qian looked at him with shining eyes. No, online songs. Su Chen shook his head slightly. I just searched online, but I couldn't find these songs at all. Another young man next to him added. 3G is too slow. You will definitely be able to find them when you use 4G. Su Chen joked. What 4G? Everyone was confused. After all, 4G networks did not become popular until 2014. Su Chen was too lazy to explain. He waved his hand and walked quickly towards Lu Yao. Amid the applause and shouts of the crowd, he glanced at Zhu Chao, sweating profusely. Brother, you are really a treasure boy. It's okay to be talented, but I didn't expect you to be so good at singing. Lu Yao praised generously. But only you can see the light on me. Su Chen smiled with relief. If you go up to sing at the college's welcome party, I'm afraid no one else will have a chance. Lu Yao made a veiled insinuation and deliberately mocked. On the other hand, Zhu Chao wanted to show off in front of the goddess, but he ended up losing more than he gained. For a moment, he was so angry that he glared at Su Chen and Lu Yao, then he dragged Shen Shui away angrily. Although he was angry, he bought a popsicle for Shen Shui when he passed by a nearby store. His Porsche 911 was parked in the parking lot next to it. The roar of the six-cylinder engine was as wild as a beast, making people feel the shock of speed and power. So handsome. Every man has a dream of a sports car. Looking at the handsome taillights, Su Chen couldn't help but sigh. Shen Shui got on Zhu Chao's sports car again in front of him, but Su Chen, who had let it go long ago, was calm and composed. Blame the sunset for not being romantic, the evening breeze for being stupid, and the arrogant white dove for not being able to hit into my arms properly. I can't blame you for not understanding, I can't blame you for not loving. On the side, Lu Yao's expression was intriguing, and she was sullen all the way. What's wrong with you? Su Chen asked softly. I'm so envious, I wanted to. Lu Yao said aggrievedly. I'll work harder and I'll have it in the future. Touching the only 166 yuan left in his pocket, Su Chen explained with embarrassment. But I want it now. Lu Yao said stubbornly. No. I can't afford it even if you want it now. Su Chen said helplessly. Why can't you afford the popsicle? Lu Yao started to act coquettishly. Ice. Popsicle. Su Chen looked confused. Well, I want to eat popsicles. Lu Yao smiled charmingly. I thought you were talking about the Porsche. Su Chen breathed a sigh of relief. What Porsche? I want to eat popsicles. Lu Yao said coquettishly. Buy. What flavor do you want? All right. Su Chen said generously. I want to eat 2. Don't say 2, 3 is fine. Okay, let's go. The night breeze gently brushed my cheeks, as soft as silk. Su Chen and Lu Yao sat on the steps by the river, eating popsicles while watching the cruise ships in the river. Can I ask you a question in person? Su Chen asked seriously. Yes. Lu Yao nodded without hesitation. Su Chen hurriedly leaned over and kissed her snowy face. You, shameless. Lu Yao said in surprise. Okay, then kiss. Su Chen quickly kissed the cherry-like tender lips again. You are annoying. Lu Yao stood up in panic. Although she had a good impression of Su Chen and even moved her heart, she was still ready for a kiss. Sorry, you are too beautiful, I really can't help it. Su Chen hurriedly explained to avoid scaring her. So, what do you mean, what's going on between us now? She wasn't too angry. Lu Yao lowered her head shyly, she needed to clarify the relationship between them. Some people, once you meet, you will fall in love at first sight. I like you. Sincerity is always the ultimate skill. Su Chen began his first confession after rebirth. The reason why he was eager to express his feelings was because he owed her too much in his previous life. In this life, he didn't want to leave any regrets. Then, what should Shen Shui do? Lu Yao twisted her hands nervously, hesitating, looking shy. Some scenery can only be liked, not collected. She and I have never started, so naturally there is no end. Su Chen explained seriously. But we just officially met yesterday, isn't this progress too fast? Lu Yao bit her lips tightly, her heart was beating wildly. When you like someone, you start with their looks, fall in love with their talent, become loyal to their character, become obsessed with their bodies, become fascinated by their voices, and finally become intoxicated by their affection. Love is always the effort of two people, not just one person's compromise. Liking someone doesn't depend on speed. You can fall in love at first sight, or you can fall in love over time. We can try to get along, but if my presence causes you trouble, I will leave immediately and never pester you. Su Chen said affectionately, looking at her with deep affection. Chapter 9, Please give me your guidance for the rest of my life. Su Chen was a little nervous and afraid of being rejected. After all, his understanding of Lu Yao was based on his knowledge from his previous life. But for Lu Yao, they just met officially last night and they haven't gotten to know each other well yet. To put it another way, it would be understandable if Lu Yao refused. Then let's give it a try. Lu Yao answered timidly. You really agree? Su Chen was so excited that he was incoherent. Being rejected countless times by Shen Shuo left him with psychological trauma. Although he had mustered up the courage to confess his feelings just now, he did not hold out much hope and even prepared himself mentally for failure. After all, Lu Yao is the high and mighty school beauty, the goddess who is like the moon surrounded by stars. How can a poor loser from the countryside like him win her heart? But what he never expected was that Lu Yao actually agreed. For a moment, Su Chen was ecstatic. He agreed to my confession the first time. Is this the correct way to express mutual affection? You know, he has been pursuing Shen Shuo for almost 4 years and has confessed his love to her at least 80 times, but he has never succeeded. But when he confessed his love to Lu Yao, he succeeded in just one try. Beside him, seeing that Su Chen was a little out of control, Lu Yao smiled coquettishly and said, "Yu Shen, please give me more advice." "Pinch me, am I dreaming?" Su Chen said with a moved expression. Lu Yao didn't hesitate and reached out to gently twist his ear. "Pain." Su Chen quickly covered his ears. "Are you really that happy?" Lu Yao smiled. "How could I deserve you to be my girlfriend? I don't even dare to think about it in my dreams." Su Chen said from the bottom of his heart. "You are talented, well-read, and your singing is so beautiful. I am out of your league." Lu Yao did not hide her admiration for him at all. Su Chen recalled the words that Lu Yao had shared before leaving for America in his previous life, and could not help but read them out softly. "I want a lot in my life, I want the wine in the cup to be full, I want the night to be full, I want the beautiful swallow to return, I want the bright moon to shine on my old friends. But in this world, words are short but their meanings are long. My words, like the spring breeze, cannot reach your north shore. Lovesickness stops at thousands of mountains. Now I also know that the world is too vast to reach, and I don't want to make things difficult for you. The last thing I want is just one sentence: life is hard, I wish you peace." "That's very well said." Lu Yao listened quietly, tears flashing in her eyes. "Are you okay?" Su Chen asked softly. "It's just a little too sad." Lu Yao shook her head slightly. "This time, I won't let you down again," Su Chen promised. "I always have a feeling that we seem to have known each other for a very long time." Lu Yao looked over infatuatedly. "Isn't there a saying about parallel space? Maybe we have known each other for a long time in another world," Su Chen said with a faint smile. Sanjiang University, girls' dormitory. Shen Shuo came back with a big bag of snacks. "Hey, why are you back so early today?" Xu Bing, who was applying a facial mask, walked up and asked. "I felt it was meaningless, so I came back." Putting down the snacks, Shen Shuo sat down unhappily. "Ju Chao bullied you?" Xu Bing started gossiping. "Not really. He's still quite honest at the moment." Shen Shuo replied with a pout. "It's such a beautiful day, didn't he let you stay outside overnight?" Xu Bing asked with a smirk. "He does have that idea, but how long have we known each other? I won't give myself up easily, not to mention." Shen Shuo stopped talking, her mind full of Su Chen's shadow. "Are you thinking about Su Chen again?" Xu Bing saw through her thoughts at a glance. "I saw him again at night, in Binjiang Park. He was with Lu Yao," Shen Shuo said with a complicated expression after taking a deep breath. "No way. Lu Yao didn't even like Guo Hao, a rich second generation from the finance department, so how could she like Su Chen? Why can't I believe it?" Xu Bing complained in surprise. "It's a long story, but Su Chen had a fight with Ju Chao tonight." Shen Shuo took a deep breath. Xu Bing was shocked and asked, "Tell me quickly, what's going on?" "We met by the river, and there happened to be a band there that could sing songs. Ju Chao thought he was a good singer, so he immediately went up and sang 'Love Business' for me." Later, I don't know what stimulated Su Chen, but he also went up to sing, and sang 5 songs in a row. Chen Shuo said lightly. This is just jealousy. Xu Bing said bluntly. I don't know. Chen Shuo lowered her head. Can't you see that 2 men are vying for you? Xu Bing said unhappily. But Lu Yao is with Su Chen. Chen Shuo expressed her dissatisfaction. Aren't you also with Zhu Chao? Xu Bing said bluntly. How can it be the same? Chen Shuo said indignantly. Don't be in a hurry. Tell me, what song is Su Chen singing? Xu Bing asked patiently. He sang 5 songs in total, all of which I had never heard of before and could not be found online. It seemed that he had composed them himself. The first song seems to be called Because of Love. There is a line in the lyrics that left a deep impression on me. It's, sometimes I suddenly forget that I am still in love with you. Chen Shuo described it vividly. Because of love, I still love you, are you silly? Isn't this a naked confession? After a meticulous analysis, Xu Bing said firmly. Chen Shuo was a little dumbfounded. Come, let me stroke it for you. Su Chen went up there only after Zhu Chao said he wanted to sing a song for you, right? Xu Bing asked in a clear voice. Yes. Chen Shuo nodded affirmatively. Su Chen didn't say it was a gift for Lu Yao, right? Xu Bing asked. No. Chen Shuo quickly shook her head. He clearly expressed in the lyrics that he still loves you. Is that true? Xu Bing asked again. Yes. Chen Shuo replied. Tell me, Yiling City is so big, how come you could meet in Binjiang Park, and Lu Yao could be with her? Is it really just a coincidence? Xu Bing asked meaningfully. What you mean is? Su Chen is creating an encounter, he is deliberately provoking me. Chen Shuo suddenly realized. I don't know whether he created the encounter or not, but I can be sure that he put a lot of thought into you, and he cares a lot about you and Zhu Chao being together. Xu Bing said slowly. What about Lu Yao? Chen Shuo asked. She's a veteran actress, she deserves an Oscar. Xu Bing raised her head and patted the mask on her face. Chen Shuo burst out laughing. After Xu Bing's words of comfort, the haze in her heart finally dissipated. After taking a breath, she continued, Bing Bing, the misunderstanding between Su Chen and I is getting deeper and deeper. Do you think I should take the initiative to contact him and make things clear? Xu Bing put his hands on her shoulders and said seriously, What are you thinking about, sister? If you take the initiative now, all your efforts will be wasted. Men need to be punished, and you have to be patient. If he doesn't apologize, we will never let him go. Chen Shuo nodded obediently and said, It still has to be you. I'll listen to you. The moon rises above the willows. Su Chen sent Lu Yao to the downstairs of the girls' dormitory. I'm very happy to be with you tonight, thank you. Lu Yao said with a smile. Me too. Su Chen nodded with excitement. Then, see you tomorrow. Lu Yao said reluctantly. Then, under Su Chen's gaze, she walked into the girls' dormitory, looking back every few steps. Su Chen stood there, unwilling to leave for a long time. To him, today was like a dream, everything seemed so unreal. Only then did he realize that Lu Yao was a gentle, independent, introverted and considerate treasure girl. In terms of beauty, she is undoubtedly the campus belle of Sanjiang University, and no one can compare to Chen Shuo. Most importantly, she is not a sea queen, and she doesn't raise fish. Su Chen hummed a little tune all their way towards the dormitory. In the dormitory, Xiong Yi, Chen Shuo and Li Bo were arguing fiercely. Su Chen stood at the door and listened roughly. They were probably arguing about which actress was more charming. It's all because their hybrid rice is too productive nowadays, so they eat too much and have nothing to do. The predecessors are all old, and the new generation is YYDS. Su Chen said lightly. Who are the new generation? Xiong Yi asked suspiciously. What does YYDS mean? Chen Shuo looked over with a confused look on his face. Su Chen was too lazy to answer and walked straight to the bathroom. Brother Chen, your hairstyle is great, it's like a hair change. Where did you get it cut? Li Bo asked with interest. It's the shop you mentioned that charges 20 for a haircut and 888 for a haircut and blow drying. I'll take you there some other day. Su Chen said teasingly. After washing up, he laid on the bed and posted a message. In this world of 3000, I love 3 things, the sun, the moon and you. The sun is for the morning, the moon is for the evening, and you are for me morning and evening. Chapter 10. There are 3,000 rivers, but I only take yours. I spent my previous life in a daze and ended up accomplishing nothing. Now that he had the chance to do so again, Xiong Yi secretly swore in his heart that he must make a name for himself. Rebirth is like opening the eyes of God, having the ability to predict the future and avoid all risks. Therefore, he set several major directions for himself, the first of which was to invest in Bitcoin BTC. According to BTC historical data, in 2010 a BTC developer used BTC to buy 2 pizzas and paid 10,000 BTC. This is considered the first actual transaction of BTC. According to this transaction, it can be calculated that the price of BTC in 2010 was approximately $0.003 per coin. Currently, due to BTC's low popularity and narrow scope of use, almost no one is interested in BTC, and no one foresees its future potential. Because of this, basically anyone can mine or simply buy some virtual currency. For Xiong Yi, this is an opportunity. You know, considering the price of BTC at nearly 320,000 renminbi per BTC in 2023, it has increased by 17 million times, which is definitely a profitable investment. Just as he was thinking about what to do next, a strange phone call came in. Xiong Yi. A young voice on the phone confirmed the identity. I am, who are you? Xiong Yi asked loudly. My name is Xiao Lin, that is Lin Qian from the Longting Band in Binjiang Park tonight. Lin Qian introduced himself. Is there something wrong? Xiong Yi asked in a mature and steady manner. It's like this. The 5 songs you sang today are all very good. I like them very much. The copyright should be in your hands, right? Just name a price and I want to buy them. Without beating around the bush, Lin Qian got straight to the point. Not for sale. Xiong Yi refused without even thinking about it. After all, you are reborn, and there are thousands of ways to make money, and all of them can make you rich. If he had to resort to selling lyrics for a living, that would be too hopeless, especially since these lyrics were not his original works. Lin Qian didn't give up and called again. Brother, don't hang up the phone so quickly. At least listen to what I have to say first. After the call was connected again, Lin Qian was eager to express his attitude. Hurry up and tell me, I'm getting ready to go to bed. Xiong Yi said indifferently. You are a student at Sanjiang University, right? Well, I won't play tricks on you. 200 yuan per song, so 1,000 yuan for 5 songs. What do you think? If possible, give me your account number and I will transfer the money to you now. Lin Qian said bluntly. Brother, let alone 200 yuan per poem, I won't sell it even if it's 200 yuan per word. So don't bother me anymore. Xiong Yi said unhappily and hung up the phone again. You should know that Fan Wenshan charges 8,000 yuan per word for writing lyrics. Jay Chou's very popular song, Wei Yuanjia, has a total of 484 words and the asking price is 38.72 million yuan. Some of you may have questions after reading this, because there are many repeated words in it, such as, that's so embarrassing. One word costs 8,000 yuan, and just one sentence costs 64,000 yuan, not a penny less. There is nothing much to say. When Juyu fought Wangari, it was just a matter of both parties being willing to fight and be beaten. Although Xiong Yi is not as good as Fan Wenshan. But, because of love, The Wind Rises, The Sea of Stars, Children of the West Tower, and People Like Me are all Chinese hits that will become popular on the entire internet in the future. No matter how short of money he is, he will not sell them at a low price. The speaker may not mean it, but the listener may take it seriously. Xiong Yi and the other 2 were all dumbfounded when they heard the price of 200 yuan per word. You have to know that in college in 2010, 200 yuan was almost a week's living expenses for them. Brother Chen, are you making money secretly without our knowledge? Bo asked cautiously. If you become rich and powerful, don't forget me. Xiong Yi said sarcastically. Don't worry about this. If I get rich, I will definitely give you a bowl of soup. Xiong Yi responded with a smile. He had made many casual promises in the past, but this time he was definitely serious. How are you and Lu Yao doing? Xiong Yi asked with interest. If I say that my confession was successful, you will definitely not believe it. Xiong Yi said proudly. Boasting. Bo waved his hand. She is a well-known cold goddess. If she were so easy to pursue, it wouldn't be your turn. Chen Shuo shook his head disapprovingly. Xiong Yi, do you also think I'm dreaming? Su Chen asked with a smile without getting angry. There's no rush for this, we have to take it slow. Xiong Yi said with a wry smile. Without further ado, just remember to call me sister-in-law when we meet tomorrow. Su Chen said domineeringly, not wanting to explain. Lin Qian was furious after failing to buy the song. He was always unruly and had never felt so aggrieved before. In fact, he didn't want to buy the songs himself, but he had a sister named Lin Ya, who was the manager of the famous Qianyu culture media in China. The 5 songs sung by Su Chen were all recorded. Lin Qian thought it was very good and sent it to Lin Ya. Unexpectedly, Lin Ya was ecstatic after hearing this, and was amazed by her beauty, and immediately asked him to contact Su Chen to buy the song. Su Chen was just a poor student. Lin Qian thought that he could easily get 200 yuan per song, but he was not moved at all and even hung up the phone twice. Just when Lin Qian was looking indignant, Lin Ya called. How did the talk go? Lin Ya went straight to the point. I offered 200 yuan for each song, but he said he wouldn't even consider 200 yuan for a word, Lin Qian said angrily. Didn't I ask you to talk to him in person? A true writer has integrity and must be respected. The fact that he can write such gripping lyrics is enough to show his ability. Lin Ya scolded. Then I'll go find him in person tomorrow morning. Lin Qian said angrily. No need. Please help me investigate his background and information. I will rush back overnight. Lin Ya said decisively. No way, you rushed back from the imperial capital just for him? Is that necessary? Lin Qian complained. What do you know? I have a hunch that any one of these 5 songs can become popular on the entire internet. It's worth me coming back in person. Lin Ya acts decisively and she believes in her own judgment. Lin Qian was also helpless. Although he was extremely unwilling, he still honestly inquired about Su Chen's information. Girls' dormitory. After washing up, Shen Shui lay on the bed. When she saw the post Su Chen posted, the corners of her mouth couldn't help but rise. Showing love from a distance. This is clearly another confession. She didn't know why, but ever since Lu Yao appeared, she began to find that Su Chen seemed quite good. Especially the 5 songs sung today, not only were they talented, but they even made her feel amazed. Thinking of this, she opened today's screen recording. Love is not something you can sell or buy whenever you want. Quack. Shen Shui frowned and hurried forward. Because of love, I won't be sad easily, so everything looks happy. Because of love, I grow up simply and can still go crazy for you at any time. Oh my god, you're not going to tell me that this is the song that Su Chen sang? Xu Bing asked loudly on the opposite side with a surprised expression. How does it feel? Shen Shui asked proudly. If you hadn't told me in advance, I would have really thought it was some celebrity singing. The song is good and the singing is great, but it's been almost a year, how come I didn't know he could sing? Xu Bing asked. Don't say you don't know. I've known him for almost 4 years, and I just found out today. Shen Shui responded. I guess he was stimulated by Zhu Chao. Xu Bing said jokingly. No way. Shen Shui looked smug. Why else would he suddenly want to sing? Don't forget, he didn't stand up for such a good opportunity at the welcome party. Never underestimate a man's competitive spirit and desire to conquer. Xu Bing said with great experience. Shen Shui then played The Wind Rises, The Sea of Stars, Children of the West Tower, and People Like Me. These songs were so good that they made Xu Bing's ears pregnant. The more he listened, the more he became restless. Are you sure these songs are all his original creations? Xu Bing asked, unable to help himself. I just searched it online, but I couldn't find it. Shen Shui said confidently. As expected of a top student, he's great at everything he does. It's really exciting. Xu Bing had a dreamy expression. What are you thinking about? Shen Shui said coquettishly. You know what I'm thinking. Xu Bing chuckled. He is mine, don't think about him. Shen Shui said seriously. The next morning, Su Chen got up early, somewhat excited. Are you up yet? Do you want to have breakfast together or should I bring it to you? He first sent a text message to Lu Yao. I'm at the playground, waiting for you. Lu Yao replied quickly. Playground? He was very puzzled and quickly washed up and rushed over. Brother Xiong Yi and the other two were still sleeping, and Su Chen moved very carefully so as not to disturb them. On the playground, Lu Yao was wearing a simple sports outfit and a pair of light sneakers. Her long hair was tied up and fluttering gently with the rhythm of her running. When she saw Su Chen from afar, she hurried over. There were slight beads of sweat on her face, sparkling in the sun, making her skin look whiter and more delicate. "You're in such good shape, why do you get up early to run?" Su Chen joked. "When I was in high school, my home was quite far from school, so I would run there every morning and it became a habit." Lu Yao breathed lightly as she wiped the sweat from her forehead. "You give people a sense of healthy beauty, with regular, heavy, punctual menstruation and no dysmenorrhea." Su Chen praised generously. "You really have a unique perspective. How can you describe someone like that?" Lu Yao said with a charming smile. "They say that girls who smile sweetly taste salty. I really want to try it." Su Chen teased. "Go away, is this how you always flirt with girls?" Lu Yao said shyly. "I am 3,000 weak waters, but I only take your scoop." Su Chen said seriously. "What are your plans for the morning?" Lu Yao tilted her head and looked over. "If you have nothing to do, shall we go climb Mogi Mountain together?" After thinking for a moment, Su Chen asked loudly. "Okay, let's go have breakfast together first, and then I'll go back to take a shower and change clothes and go with you." Lu Yao said happily. "No problem." Su Chen nodded repeatedly. Only then did he realize that loving someone could be such an easy and happy thing. Chapter 11. I'm out of my league. Qinyuan Canteen. Su Chen ordered a bowl of red oil noodles. Lu Yao also ate very simply, a bowl of white porridge and a boiled egg. Su Chen originally wanted to pay for her with a credit card. After all, he had been pursuing Shen Shui for so many years, and he had always been the one paying for all the expenses. But today is an exception. Not only did Lu Yao reject Su Chen, she also paid the bill for him. Although the matter was not big and the money was not much, Su Chen was overjoyed because Lu Yao made him feel nourished. This is what love should be like. The most romantic love is when loving and being loved happen at the same time. "It may take me about half an hour. Why don't you go back to the dormitory first and I'll call you then?" Lu Yao said sweetly downstairs of the girls' dormitory. "Don't worry, take your time, I'll wait for you here," Su Chen said with a doting look. "See you later then." Lu Yao waved her hand with a look of autumnal eyes, and then reluctantly returned to the dormitory. What is happiness? Happiness is when the person you love smiles at you. The luck of meeting, the warmth of companionship, the gentle breeze, everything is just right. After all, he was reborn, and Su Chen was still trying to adapt to this strange yet familiar world. He would catch up on the current news whenever he had time. 20 minutes later, thinking that Lu Yao would soon come out, he hurried to the milk tea shop near the cafeteria to buy him a cup of milk tea. During this period, Lin Qian called again. This time Su Chen directly refused. He didn't plan to make a living selling lyrics. The most important thing is that 200 yuan per song is an insult to Chinese pop songs. On the 4th floor of the girls' dormitory, Xu Bing, who was washing up, glanced downstairs inadvertently and unexpectedly saw the familiar figure of Su Chen. "Xiaoxue, come and see," Xu Bing exclaimed. "What's wrong?" Shen Shui, who was putting on makeup, patted her cheeks gently. "Su Chen is downstairs with a cup of milk tea in his hand." "Is he waiting for you?" Xu Bing asked straight to the point. "I haven't forgiven him yet," Shen Shui said proudly. "Then do you want to go down and see him?" Xu Bing asked seriously. "But I have already promised Yu Chao that I will accompany him to Ocean World and watch a movie today," Shen Shui said with embarrassment. "You still have to choose one between them in the end," Xu Bing said calmly. "Didn't you tell me to leave him alone for a while? Today is only the 3rd day." Shen Shui curled her lips, looking disapproving. "I think you'd better go down and meet him, at least to give him a glimmer of hope. Know when to stop, everything has its limits, too much is as bad as too little, and things will turn into the opposite when they reach the extreme," Xu Bing warned earnestly. "Don't worry, I know him better than you do." Shen Shui had a relaxed expression. "Just keep it in mind." Xu Bing said nothing more. However, when she leaned her head out and looked down again, her face suddenly changed. Lu Yao, dressed in casual pants and a white t-shirt, looked young and beautiful, and was taking the milk tea from Su Chen. The two were talking and laughing. They are so close that they are almost holding hands. At the side, Shen Shui noticed that there was something wrong with her face and looked down quickly. When she realized that Su Chen was not waiting for her but was dating Lu Yao, she suddenly felt like she had fallen into an ice hole. Suddenly, he stood there at a loss, with an extremely ugly look on his face. Do you think they are really together? Shen Shui bit her lips tightly and could no longer laugh. Didn't he sing a song to confess his love to you last night? Xu Bing asked softly. It's also possible that he was singing for Lu Yao. Shen Shui felt very uncomfortable. You have to believe in your own charm. Xu Bing encouraged her while holding her hand. Should I call and ask? Shen Shui seemed very conflicted. But just when she wanted to do something, Zhu Chao suddenly called. Between two options, choose the lesser evil. Between two options, choose the greater benefit. She finally chose to answer the phone. Maybe this is her choice. As a school beauty, Lu Yao has an amazing figure. Wearing a figure-hugging t-shirt that reveals a slender waist, she is a beautiful sight walking on campus. She wore light makeup today. It can be seen that she had dressed up carefully in order to go out with Su Chen. What are you laughing at? Seeing Su Chen grinning all the way, Lu Yao asked shyly. I must have been blind before. How come I didn't realize how beautiful you are? I still feel like I'm dreaming now. Su Chen praised without any concealment. Sanjiang University only has 1 stone, and you have 8 buckets. I am marrying up. Lu Yao teased with a smile. I heard that you also came to Sanjiang University with the scores that are good enough to get into 985 or 211 universities. What's going on? Su Chen asked curiously. I was rejected by my first choice, and I didn't want to repeat the year, so I came here. Lu Yao said with relief. Then we are both wanderers in this world. Su Chen said self-deprecatingly. We are different. You are a warrior charging for love, and I just don't want to do it again. Lu Yao smiled and shook her head. There is no unfamiliarity as at the beginning. The two felt like they had met too late, and they hit it off right away and talked about everything. Lu Yao suggested taking the bus to Yiling Square first, and then transferring to the foot of Mogi Mountain. Su Chen readily agreed. While waiting for the bus at the bus stop, a Range Rover suddenly stopped next to me. Su Chen took a quick glance and found that it was the 5.0L Genesis Premium Edition, with a 4S guide price of 2.688 million yuan. In this era, those who can drive a luxury car worth millions are either rich or noble. Just as he was wondering, a spirited young man with dyed yellow hair walked down. It's Lin Qian. There was also a tall and beautiful woman coming down with him. The beauty is wearing sunglasses, she looks cool and beautiful. She tied up her long flowing hair, wore an exquisite and capable professional suit, and her aura of confidence instantly burst out. Lin Qian's eyes lit up when he saw Su Chen, and he started to complain, you didn't answer my call, so I finally found you. If you want to buy songs from me, forget it. I have something else to do. Su Chen rejected him directly. Don't be in a hurry to refuse. I'll introduce someone to you. Lin Qian said casually. He immediately introduced Lin Yue, who was standing next to him, and said, this is my sister Lin Yue. She is the manager of Chenyu Culture Media. I sent her the song you sang last night. She liked it very much and rushed back from the capital overnight. She wanted to discuss the possibility of cooperation with you in depth. Can I talk to you? Just half an hour. Lin Yue took off her sunglasses and stretched out her soft and boneless little hand. Su Chen shook it symbolically. However, he did not agree immediately. Instead, he turned his head to look at Lu Yao and said, is it okay? I'll listen to you. Lu Yao said gently. Then half an hour. Su Chen gave a positive answer. This is not a place to chat. If you don't mind, can we find a place to sit down and chat? Lin Yue asked expectantly. You arrange it. Su Chen said neither humbly nor arrogantly. After all, he was reborn, and he was used to the ups and downs of life. His qualifications were also there, so he could remain calm no matter who he faced. Not to mention that Lin Yue is the manager of Chenyu, even if Zhang Yimou came, he could face it calmly. But Lu Yao is different. She is just a young girl with little experience in the world. Su Chen was worried that she would not be able to adapt, so he took care of her feelings throughout the whole process and tried not to make her feel uncomfortable. Lin Qian is quite familiar with Yiling City. 5 minutes later, he drove to a nearby high-end tea restaurant. After sitting down, Lin Ye ordered some snacks, tea and fruit platter, and then got straight to the point. I won't beat around the bush. I like all the 5 songs you sang last night. If they are your original works, just name a price and I will never bargain. Lin Ye acted decisively and said sincerely. Although I'm a poor student, I really don't plan to make money by selling songs. Su Chen made his attitude clear. Are you stupid? I let you name any price you want. Just based on this, you will have a place to live in the future, and you can even help with family expenses. Lin Qian said unhappily. It's not about money. Su Chen said unmoved. Shut up. Lin Ye rolled her eyes at Lin Qian, warning him not to get involved. Then, she said to Su Chen in a gentle tone, he doesn't understand anything, don't listen to him. If you have nothing else to say, I'll leave. Su Chen said calmly. You shouldn't write songs just for your own enjoyment, right? Such a good song should be spread around the world so that more people can hear it. Lin Ye is neither arrogant nor impatient. At this point, she turned her face and smiled at Lu Yao and asked, Little sister, do you think what I said makes sense? She could see that the relationship between the two was not simple. So he wanted to use Lu Yao as a breakthrough point to make Su Chen change his mind. Of course Lu Yao knew what she was thinking, so she smiled and responded, I respect his choice. Seeing that the pressure was ineffective, Lin Ye took a deep breath and directly used her trump card, I really like those 5 songs of yours. How about this, 10,000 for 1 song and 50,000 for 5 songs? Su Chen remained indifferent after hearing this. After tonight he will be a millionaire, so he really doesn't care about the 50,000 yuan. So facing the confident Lin Ye, he stood up without hesitation and said, You may have misunderstood me. This has never been a matter of money. After saying this, he winked at Lu Yao, and the two of them left. He doesn't even sell 1 song for 10,000 yuan. This guy is too ungrateful. Looking at Su Chen's departing back, Lin Qian said angrily. Maybe, he really isn't doing it for the money. Lin Ye said calmly, taking a sip of tea slowly. People die for money, birds die for food. Why else would he write songs if not for money? Lin Qian complained dissatisfiedly. Actually, there is another possibility. Lin Ye analyzed calmly. What's possible? Lin Qian asked quickly. Maybe he also realized that the value of these 5 songs is far greater than 50,000. Lin Ye said earnestly. So what should we do next? Lin Qian asked after taking a deep breath. Send me his phone number and I'll invite him to dinner tonight. I'll always find a way to make him sell the song to me willingly. Lin Ye said confidently. Chapter 12. Is this an official announcement? After Su Chen and Lu Yao came out of the tea restaurant, they continued to take the bus to Mogi Mountain. You are so courageous. 50,000 yuan is a year's salary for many people, but you are not tempted at all. Lu Yao praised him greatly and looked at him with admiration again. Merchant are profit-driven, they are not stupid. Su Chen replied with a smile. Could it be possible to sell it for even more? Lu Yao looked over in surprise. I don't plan to make money by selling songs, but they won't give up and will contact me again. Su Chen said lightly. After a lot of trouble, the two finally squeezed onto the bus. Seeing that there was a seat in front, Su Chen took the lead to let Lu Yao sit down, and he was pushed to the back by the crowd. After Lu Yao sat firmly, she looked back and they smiled at each other. Sitting behind her was a man in his early 30s. The uncle was wearing gold-rimmed glasses and holding a book in his hand, looking like a gentleman with a bad appearance. When Lu Yao turned around, he was immediately attracted by her divine beauty in one eye, and the youthful aura emanating from her body drove him crazy. So he looked around and after confirming that there was no one he knew, he gently patted Lu Yao's shoulder. Seeing her turn around, the uncle immediately asked with a lewd look on his face, Beauty, forgive me for being so presumptuous, I just want to ask, have you had any minor adjustments to your face? Original. Lu Yao said coldly. Great, let me introduce myself. I am a well-known talent scout in China. I have discovered many stars, such as Dylan Atzer, Zhang Yuqi, Chen Qianai, etc. I've been observing you since you got in the car. Your image and figure are so perfect. If you work with me, you will definitely become a top female star in the future. The uncle said greedily. Sorry, I haven't considered this. Lu Yao decisively refused. It's okay, I can help you. The uncle boasted, and then said, to be honest, I am Gao Fushuai, the nephew of the gold medal director Gao 1111. It doesn't matter if you don't know him. He has acted in many TV series and made many big stars famous. You've heard of Three Kingdoms, right? He directed New Shanghai Bund, and you must have seen Happiness is Like a Flower. To tell you the truth, he is planning to shoot a big production recently. It is said that the investment is about 300 million yuan, but the female lead has not been decided yet. He asked me to help find one. I think you are a good candidate. Your image and appearance are perfect. If you really play the leading female role, you will definitely become a hit. By then, not to mention the Golden Horse Awards, Golden Rooster Awards, and Wabiao Awards, you will even have a place in Cannes, Berlin, and the Oscars. Otherwise, please leave me your contact information. It can be seen that Lu Yao was very uncomfortable with the wretched uncle's words. Just when she was disgusted but unable to refuse, Su Chen squeezed in like a god descending from heaven. There were no angry words and no violent conflicts. He approached the wretched old man and said confidently, "Watch me, buddy." As he spoke, he took a step forward, and in front of the astonished eyes of the onlookers, he held Lu Yao's snow-white face with both hands and kissed her domineeringly. Lu Yao's heart was pounding and she was so nervous that she couldn't breathe. They just became a couple last night, and they haven't held hands yet, but they have already kissed. For a moment, she was completely unprepared and her mind went blank, as if she had lost consciousness. After a moment, their lips parted. Su Chen looked at her lovingly and said, "Beauty, it's the season of revival again. Let's find a place where no one is around to get to know each other better and talk about life, okay?" Good. Lu Yao nodded obediently. The bus happened to arrive at the Movishan stop. So, under the stunned gazes of the creepy uncle and others, the two of them walked down calmly. The sudden intimate behavior made both of them very embarrassed. Seeing Lu Yao walking forward with her head down and silent, Su Chen kept reflecting on whether he was progressing too fast, or his previous actions were too rough, making her uncomfortable. After all, at the current pace, they might be able to get a room outside tonight to celebrate their love. Lu Yao wasn't too angry. But as a girl, she has her own modesty. Su Chen's kiss just now was too sudden, leaving her completely unprepared. After all, in her perfect worldview of love, the first kiss is something to look forward to. All in silence. Seeing that they were at the foot of the mountain, Su Chen mustered up the courage to catch up and said apologetically, "Well, I was too impulsive just now. I'm sorry. I'm not angry." Lu Yao responded softly. "Then why did you ignore me after getting off the car?" Su Chen asked back. Lu Yao hesitated to speak. After looking up at Su Chen, she said coquettishly, "I'm not going to pay attention to you." After saying that, she quickened her pace up the mountain. Su Chen is 18 years old, but has the mentality of a 30-year-old. A woman's heart is as unfathomable as the sea. With the experience of licking Shen Shuo, he knew very well what was in a woman's mind. At this moment, he could truly feel that Lu Yao was not really angry. She just couldn't get used to such a big step forward in their relationship. But it can be seen that she is immersed in the sweetness of love and cannot extricate herself. Mogi Mountain has steep cliffs and rugged terrain. Although there are hiking trails, it is still very difficult to walk. Lu Yao, who has been running for many years, is full of energy, but after climbing more than 100 meters in one breath, she was also out of breath. At this moment, he almost fell to the ground because he did not stand firmly, and almost died. Fortunately, Su Chen was quick to help her and she managed to stabilize herself. "Are you okay?" Su Chen asked with concern. "Fortunately, you are behind me," Lu Yao said with a palpitating heart. "It looks very dangerous here, but it's actually not safe at all. Let's walk slowly," Su Chen said gently. "This is a great opportunity to bring you closer together." Thinking of this, Su Chen took the initiative to stretch out his big hand and intended to hold her hand. However, he had no intention of forcing her. Once he saw that Lu Yao was unwilling, he would immediately take it back. Lu Yao was indeed stunned for a moment. But soon, she took Su Chen's big hand openly. What followed was another period of tactical silence. Although her hand was held, Lu Yao did not dare to move at all. Are you nervous? Su Chen joked. No. Lu Yao said coquettishly. Then why are your palms so sweaty? Su Chen laughed. Maybe it's because it's too hot. Lu Yao said shyly. Su Chen took the initiative to chat, and her nervous mood gradually eased. Have you thought about what you want to do in the future? Lu Yao asked softly as they walked. Their mother is weak and the family is a merchant, the father is strong and the family is a minister, the family's reputation stays in the original place, the family is poor and the family moves around. I'm a young man from the countryside. I have no resources, no connections, and no financial resources. I don't have many ideas, but if possible, I want to start a business and do something in the future. Su Chen said calmly. Talent is more important than appearance and more reliable than money. I believe that with your ability and courage, you will shine in the future. Lu Yao praised generously. Thank you for your good words. I will work hard. Su Chen said with relief, and then asked, what are your plans? I don't have big ambitions, I just want to keep things simple. Lu Yao said with a sweet smile. The two chatted as they walked. Half an hour later, we successfully reached the summit of Mogi Mountain. Mogi Mountain stands by the river. Looking down from its high vantage point, the mighty Yangtze River looks like a giant silver dragon lying across the land of China. The Yiling city area across the river is full of tall buildings, lined up like a dazzling urban forest. How beautiful! Gazing into the distance, Lu Yao, sweating profusely, sighed. This shouldn't be your first time here, right? Su Chen asked softly, his eyes fixed on her from beginning to end. I came here once with my roommates when school started last year. Lu Yao answered truthfully. Tell me where you want to go next time and I'll take you there. Su Chen said with anticipation. Then I take it seriously. Lu Yao said with a smile. This will always be true for you. Su Chen promised seriously. Life is bright and everything is lovely. The scenery is so beautiful, let's take a photo together. Lu Yao took out her cell phone and looked over with a charming look. Su Chen readily agreed. He immediately took the phone, and the two of them leaned together and took several photos. As expected of the campus belle of Sanjiang University, Lu Yao looks great in every photo. What do you think? Lu Yao asked sweetly while looking back at the photos. She is stunningly beautiful, graceful, gentle and charming, and she stands tall and graceful. Su Chen spoke without hesitation, expressing his admiration to the utmost. Do you have any words you haven't used yet? Lu Yao giggled happily. She is graceful and elegant, and calm and relaxed. One smile makes all the beauties in the palace pale in comparison. The most touching thing is the gentleness of her lowered head, like the shyness of a water lotus in the cool breeze. Su Chen spoke eloquently and it seemed as if he could keep talking forever. Lu Yao was so excited that she was shaking all over and laughing foolishly. If the rich second-generation Guahao was here, he would definitely be shocked, because it is hard to believe that the usually cold Lu Yao would have such a charming side. Where do you get so many adjectives from? You are so good at it. Lu Yao said happily. I really think you're pretty. Su Chen said sincerely, and then asked, can you send me the photo you just took? Of course. Lu Yao sent it over casually. Do you mind if I post a comment with this photo? Su Chen asked sincerely after carefully admiring the photo. If you're not afraid that Chen Shuo might misunderstand me, then I don't mind. After thinking about it seriously, Lu Yao said nonchalantly. It's not hard to tell that she still has a grudge against Chen Shuo in her subconscious. After all, the reason why Su Chen condescended to come to Sanjiang University was for her. Su Chen smelled acetic acid. He smiled and did not explain. Instead, he decisively posted a message on QQ Space. The mountains and rivers are vast, the fireworks of the world, everything is you, everything is you. Coupled with that intimate photo, the relationship is self-evident. There is a response to everything and everything has a solution. Action speaks louder than all promises, and only a two-way effort makes sense. After seeing Su Chen's post, Lu Yao dispelled all her doubts, and then she laughed happily and asked jokingly, does this count as an official announcement? If you don't mind, then yes. Su Chen answered affirmatively. Then should I say something too? Lu Yao asked with a smile. So she also used the photo to post a comment. I see all living things as grass and trees, but I see you as a green mountain. Chapter 13. Chen Shuo broke through the defense. Sanjiang University, male dormitory. Today is Sunday, and Xiong Yi and the other two slept until almost noon. Where is Brother Chen going? Bo, who had just gotten up, asked casually after taking a look at the empty bed. He has been elusive these days, like a dragon that can't be found. Xiong Yi also started to complain. Oh my god. Chen Shuo, who was lying on the bed and browsing on his phone, suddenly sat up. Dude, what happened? Did someone cook you? Bo asked jokingly. Neither of you saw it. Brother Chen made the official announcement. Chen Shuo said excitedly. Did Chen Shuo agree to him? Xiong Yi asked quickly. There's always a silver lining for even the most adoring dogs. Bo said with a long sigh. What Chen Shuo? This has nothing to do with her. Chen Shuo said proudly. What's going on? Xiong Yi couldn't help but walked over. It's Liu Yao. Brother Chen and Liu Yao have officially announced that they are together. Chen Shuo said shockingly. Show me now. Xiong Yi snatched his phone away. When he and Bo saw the intimate photo on Mogi Mountain, they were ecstatic and could hardly believe their eyes. The mountains and rivers are vast, the world is full of fireworks, everything is you, everything is you. This is really a confession. Chen Shuo said excitedly. I didn't expect that Brother Chen, the sixth brother, actually had such a big trick up his sleeve. It's really surprising. Bo smiled from ear to ear and felt sincerely gratified. He asked us to call Liu Yao sister-in-law when we saw her yesterday. At that time, we thought he was just pretending, but we didn't expect that he was serious. Xiong Yi said excitedly. You see, Liu Yao is the face of our Sanjiang University, a famously cold campus beauty. The second-generation rich Guahao from the finance department pursued her for half a year but couldn't even hold her hand. Yet, Brother Chen won her over in less than 3 days. How did he do it? Chen Shuo expressed his confusion and puzzlement. A hero accompanies a beauty, a talented man goes with a beautiful woman. One of them is well-read and talented, while the other is extremely beautiful. I have to say, they are a perfect match. Bo said happily. What I want to know most now is what kind of expression Chen Shuo will have when she finds out about this, har har. Xiong Yi grinned excitedly. She doesn't want to have such a potential and instead chooses a scumbag. She deserves it. Chen Shuo said angrily. China World Trade Center. The weather was getting hotter, and Zhu Chao said he wanted to buy a set of cool clothes for Chen Shuo. The two of them were walking around, talking and laughing, and they were quite harmonious along the way. During this time, Zhu Chao met an acquaintance and said he wanted to say hello. Liu Yao took the opportunity to go to the bathroom to touch up her makeup, but when she came out, Zhu Chao was nowhere to be seen. Helplessly, she sat on the bench next to her, browsing her phone while waiting for Zhu Chao to come back. Inadvertently, when she saw Su Chen's awesome official announcement, she felt a loud bang in her head, as if someone had hit her from behind with a club. I thought they were acting, but I didn't expect it to be serious. But how could he do that? Chen Shuo panicked and suddenly felt betrayed. She no longer had the heart to go shopping for clothes or anything like that, she just wanted to leave. She took a quick look around and saw that Zhu Chao had not come back for some time. Just when she was about to call him, she was surprised to find that Zhu Chao was downstairs. At this moment, he was hugging and rubbing his ears with a tall beauty in black stockings, behaving in an ambiguous manner. In an instant, Chen Shuo broke through their defense. In order to be with Zhu Chao, she chose to give up licking Su Chen, whom she had been licking for 4 years. Zhu Chao obviously has a better family background and capital, and it was thought that he would be the true love and would live happily forever. But Chen Shuo still overestimated her charm. It is impossible for Zhu Chao to change his philandering and fickle character because of her. Tears fell uncontrollably. Chen Shuo did not expose it in person, nor did she cry or make a fuss, but left quietly. A man walked out of the China World Trade Center alone. Now she feels lost and empty inside and is in urgent need of comfort. Whenever she felt lost in the past, she would subconsciously call Su Chen, and Su Chen would appear at the first opportunity to comfort her. But not today. He belongs to another girl now. After hesitating for a long time, Chen Shuo finally called her best friend Xu Bing. The call was connected. But what made Chen Shuo embarrassed was that a burst of rapid panting came from inside. Isn't she having her period? Why still? But this made her feel even more wronged. At the critical moment, there is no one to whom I can speak my true feelings. On Mogi Mountain, Lu Yao has been very shy since the official announcement and has never dared to look Su Chen in the eye. Su Chen smiled and gave her space to adapt. The wind in May is refreshing and pleasant. The roses are in full bloom in clusters, shining brightly, creating a thriving scene. After taking a few photos, Lu Yao suddenly seemed to remember something and started fiddling with her phone. Are you also playing the stealing vegetables game? Su Chen asked with a smile after taking a glance. The first thing I do after waking up every morning is to steal vegetables. Lu Yao replied with a smile. Then I will help you water the plants, kill insects, weed, and harvest the fruits in the future. Su Chen said as he took action. I saw that the vegetables in Shen Shuo's vegetable garden were ripe. This time, Su Chen did not help her collect them, but stole a few and left. The mountains and the birds take different paths, and from now on they will never meet again. This stealing vegetables game is so addictive. Almost everyone is playing it now. Lu Yao said with emotion while collecting vegetables. The speaker may not mean it, but the listener may take it seriously. After his rebirth, Su Chen couldn't find the direction to strive for, but Lu Yao's words made him feel like the clouds had cleared and the sun had appeared. He studied something computer-related, so he could try to develop games on his own. Although I missed the popularity of Angry Birds, Fruit Ninja, and Plants vs. Zombies, Temple Run, Subway Surfers, Sheep and Jumping Box are definitely worth looking forward to. In addition, there are also the popular and enduring Honor of Kings, Peace Elite, and Genshin Impact, where you can make a lot of money. Seeing Su Chen suddenly stunned and hesitant to speak, Lu Yao hurriedly asked softly, "Are you okay?" Su Chen smiled with relief and said, "I suddenly remembered a saying, a virtuous wife brings prosperity to 3 generations, which is better than thousands of acres of fertile land." Hearing this, Lu Yao said shyly, "Why are you suddenly talking about this?" Su Chen explained, "What you said just now made me suddenly enlightened, and suddenly I found the direction to move forward. But I didn't say anything." Lu Yao was confused and didn't understand what it meant. "Didn't you just say that the game of stealing vegetables is fun?" Su Chen said bluntly. "What does this have to do with the direction you're heading? Do you want to work in game development in the future?" Lu Yao expressed her confusion and puzzlement. "I want to develop games myself," Su Chen said confidently. "This is not an easy task, but with your ability, if you study hard, I believe you will be able to realize this dream in the future," Lu Yao encouraged. Su Chen smiled and nodded. What he didn't say was that this was not a future dream, but a career he was about to put into action. The two rested for a while at the top of the mountain and then went down the mountain. Of course, Su Chen held Lu Yao's hand the whole time when going down the mountain. Without the shyness she had at the beginning, Lu Yao also tried to accept Su Chen's tenderness, and her little hands held tighter. It was almost noon when we got down the mountain. Lu Yao looked like a little bird and asked softly, "What are your plans for the afternoon?" "Let's go to Wonder for dinner first, and then I can accompany you to do whatever you want to do." Su Chen smiled knowingly. "As long as I'm with you, I'm fine," Lu Yao said sweetly. "Why don't we go watch a movie? Iron Man 2 is just released and I heard it's very good. If you don't like American blockbusters, you can go watch Ip Man 2 or Go La La," Su Chen said softly. "Did you make any strategy before coming out with me?" Lu Yao smiled. "I can't let you feel bored," Su Chen said with a wry smile. "Don't do this in the future. I hope that when you are with me, you will be the most relaxed and free-spirited. You don't need to do anything for me deliberately," Lu Yao said sympathetically. "I was really blind before," Su Chen said self-deprecatingly. He thought of the past again and subconsciously compared herself with Shen Shuo, and felt that Lu Yao was even more rare. As the saying goes, people are heroes and money is courage. Although his plan was perfect, if he really had to go out to eat and buy 2 movie tickets, the only 100 or so yuan left in his pocket would not be enough. Su Chen felt uneasy all the way and behaved very awkwardly. Even so, after arriving at Wonder Plaza, he said amiably, "There's a good Chongqing hotpot restaurant upstairs, how about we go there and eat hotpot? I want to eat that." Lu Yao pointed to a hewn rice noodle shop not far away. "Are you trying to save money for me?" Su Chen joked. "I like eating rice noodles very much." Besides, we are both students now and don't have much financial resources. I don't want to become a burden to you after we are together. Lu Yao said frankly. What kind of fairy girlfriend are you? I must have saved the galaxy in my previous life, that's why I'm so lucky to meet you. Su Chen said with deep emotion. I don't know how long a lifetime is, but meeting you may be the greatest luck of my life. Lu Yao said affectionately. Then let's just take it slow and eat rice noodles. Su Chen said lovingly. I want something sour and spicy. Lu Yao said with a smile. Sour boy, spicy girl. You like sour and spicy food. Will you give birth to a boy or a girl in the future? Su Chen teased as they held hands. Maybe they are twins, a boy and a girl. Lu Yao chuckled. Chapter 14. Am I related to you? After a quick lunch, the two caught up with the afternoon show of Iron Man 2. Time always passes quickly when you are with the person you love, and when they came out of the cinema, it was almost evening. Lin Ye's call also arrived as expected. Where are you? I still want to have a deeper chat with you. Lin Ye said straight to the point. Is it necessary? Su Chen asked back. You and I are actually the same kind of people. We won't bow down for a bowl of rice or fawn on money, but I really like your songs. Lin Ye said without any concealment. I love money like my life, but I get it in a proper way. Su Chen said neither humbly nor arrogantly. Then it is even more necessary for us to talk. I'm hosting a banquet at the salon. Where are you? I'll have someone pick you up. Lin Ye said expectantly. Wonder Plaza. Su Chen replied. A quarter of an hour later, Lin Chen drove over in a Bentley. Su Chen took a quick look and saw that this was a 2010 Mercedes-Benz, a 6.0T four-seater version, and the 4S shop offered a price of 4.1 million. He was driving a Land Rover in the morning and a Bentley now, and both are million-level luxury cars, which is enough to show the strength of the Lin family. What does your family do? After getting in the car, Su Chen couldn't help but ask. Selling wine. Lin Chen said casually. Hearing this, Su Chen's heart skipped a beat, and then he asked, who is Lin Pu to you? My dad. Lin Chen said casually. Oh my god, you are really hiding your talents. Su Chen said in surprise. Do you know his father? Lu Yao asked suspiciously. Haven't you heard of Lin Pu, the richest man in Yiling City? Su Chen turned his head and looked over. No. Lu Yao shook her head blankly. You must have heard of Yiling Dak, right? Su Chen asked. The advertisements are everywhere. Almost everyone should know about them. Lu Yao answered truthfully. That's his wine. Su Chen said slowly. Lu Yao was so surprised that she was speechless. How do you know that I'm a student at Sanjiang University? Su Chen asked again. Yiling City is so small, it's not difficult to find someone here. Besides, I also know the guy who sang in front of you yesterday. Lin Chen said proudly. At this point, he looked back and said frankly, Brother, my sister is a very busy person. She may not come back during the Chinese New Year. This time she came back specifically for your songs, which shows that she really likes them. As the saying goes, a gentleman helps others to be good, not to be evil. I hope you can have a good chat. Money is not a problem. Money is not a problem, so why don't you give me 200 per song? Su Chen complained crazily. I'm just trying to save some money. Lin Chen said embarrassedly. It's true that all businessmen are dishonest. Su Chen said jokingly. Salon banquet. Lin Chen brought the two of them to the box. Lin Ye, who was watching the game, quickly stood up to greet him. Su Chen took a quick glance and saw that it was the 9th round of the Chinese Super League, with Changsha Jinde playing against Shenzhen Red Diamonds at home. He had watched the game that year and the two teams were of similar strength, so the game ended in a 0-0 draw. Do you like watching football too? Su Chen asked with a smile. I'm just killing time when I have nothing to do. Lin Ye smiled and continued, thank you for coming here. To be honest, we are worried about where to eat. Su Chen joked. Then I have to treat you well today. Lin Ye was in high spirits and immediately waved her hand to let Lin Chen go and order the dishes. After settling down together, she asked sincerely, should we eat first and then talk, or talk first and then eat? Then let's talk first. Su Chen said neither humbly nor arrogantly. If possible, I would like to hear your thoughts first. Lin Ye said humbly. You may not want to hear my thoughts. Su Chen teased. Since it is a cooperation, we must seek common ground while reserving differences. I am mentally prepared. Lin Ye said casually. We can work together to set up a cultural media company. I will provide the lyrics, and you use your connections to sell the lyrics. After thinking about it seriously, Su Chen replied. Your lyrics are delicate and infectious, and every word touches the heart and resonates with people. You can give it a try. Lin Ye nodded in agreement. Those 5 songs may be exceptions. Can you ensure that the quality of every song in the future will be no worse than them? Lin Chen questioned on the side. Everyone's creation has its limits, and I can't guarantee that it will always be at that level, but at least there shouldn't be any major problems in the next 10 years. Su Chen said confidently. 10 years is enough. Lin Ye nodded with satisfaction, and then asked, what other conditions do you have? I'll take 60% and you take 40%. I have the final say on who each song is sold to. Su Chen said calmly. I understand that it's not easy for you to write songs, but I have to tell you the truth, selling songs may be even more difficult. Lin Ye said meaningfully. So what? Su Chen smiled. I'll take 70% and you 30%. You only need to be responsible for writing songs, and you don't have to worry about anything else. I will also pay for all the initial expenses of setting up the company. Lin Ye said bluntly. I can make concessions on this matter, but I have the final say on who will sing the song and who will sell it to, Su Chen said firmly. What do you mean? Lin Ye didn't quite understand. It's very simple. Because of Love has to be sung by Eason Chan and Fei Wang, Children of the West Tower has to be sung by Hai Lai Amu. No one else will buy it except them. Su Chen made this almost restrictive request. After all, these songs were sung by them in their previous life, and he didn't want his rebirth to cause chaos. Dude, did I hear you wrong or did you say it wrong? Isn't it that the highest bidder wins? You are clearly selling songs to a targeted audience. Lin Chen complained speechlessly. You are wrong, this is specially tailor-made for them. Su Chen said casually. I admire your talent, but forgive me for being frank, it's difficult to maximize your profits this way. Even if your lyrics are well written, they may not be sold at a high price, Lin Ye said frankly. Some people only pay for value, while others are willing to pay for feelings. Now you should understand why I said before that this is not about money. Su Chen said calmly. Is there no room for negotiation? Lin Ye asked softly in a coquettish tone. This is my bottom line. Su Chen shook his head slightly. Are you watching the game too? Lin Ye suddenly changed the subject. Watch some of it. Su Chen replied. How about we make a bet on the Chinese Super League match? If you guess right, I will accept the defeat and follow your idea. But if you lose, I hope you can reconsider it. Lin Ye said with a smile, glancing in the direction of the TV. This match is 0:0, there is no winner. If I am wrong, I will write songs for you for free for 10 years, and I won't ask for a penny. Su Chen said confidently. This is a joke. Lu Yao was a little nervous and subconsciously grabbed his big hand. On the side, Lin Chen was overjoyed. He quickly jumped up and said with great joy, you said it yourself. Don't deny it later. Or, let's eat. I'm hungry. Su Chen said calmly. What courage. I admire you more and more now. Lin Ye looked over with shining eyes. This is a feast for the eyes. Goose feet, sea cucumbers, red crabs, Australian lobsters, abalone, and tiger grouper were all served. I'm already starving after chatting for so long. Su Chen didn't hesitate and started eating with big mouthfuls. Seeing that Lu Yao was a little reserved and couldn't relax at all, Su Chen took the initiative to pick up some food for her, telling her to eat it. 40 minutes later, Su Chen, who had eaten and drunk his fill, was ready to leave. Don't be impatient, the second half is about to start, I don't believe they won't score a single goal. Lin Chen was worried that he would not admit his mistake, so he wanted to wait until the game was over before letting him leave. What? Are you doubting my character? Su Chen asked with a smile. I believe you. Lin Ye said casually. Call me if you have any questions. Su Chen waved his hand. Should I give you a ride? Lin Yue asked loudly. Need not. Su Chen left without looking back. Sister, this kid is too arrogant. Looking at their backs as they left, Lin Chen couldn't help but complain. Being arrogant requires ability, and he has it. Lin Yue said leisurely. You don't think he can win this game, do you? Lin Chen said disapprovingly. At least judging from the current results, he didn't lose. Lin Yue replied. I just don't believe it. Lin Chen said indignantly. I have met countless people, but not many of them dare to look me in the eye. But he is neither arrogant nor boastful in front of me, and is always humble. Based on this point, his future is limitless. Lin Yue praised. At this point, she glared at Lin Chen and said in a warning tone, be more polite when you face him in the future, otherwise I will be rude to you. Sister, are you in love with him? Lin Chen complained. Nonsense. Lin Yue quickly denied it. Lu Yao is the campus beauty of Sanjiang University. It seems that they are together. Lin Chen said with a smile. What's there to brag about being a school beauty? It seems like everyone is the same. Lin Yue curled her lips in disapproval. If you really like him, I will help you pursue him. Lin Chen came over and said. Get out of here. Lin Yue pushed him gently. Then he sat down by himself, and his mind was filled with Su Chen's shadow. Su Chen and Lu Yao caught the last bus and finally returned to school smoothly. The two talked and laughed all their way, and seemed to have endless things to say. Soon, Su Chen sent her to the downstairs of the girls' dormitory. But at this moment, a familiar figure appeared in front of him. It was Xin Shuo. At this moment, she looked over with a resentful look. Especially when she saw Su Chen and Lu Yao holding hands, she became even more furious. When she saw Xin Shuo, Lu Yao felt uncomfortable all over and struggled to let go of Su Chen. But Su Chen insisted not to let go and held on even tighter. Su Chen, you're going too far. Xin Shuo said with tears in her eyes. Do you have any misunderstanding about me? Do I have any relationship with you? Su Chen asked sarcastically. Chapter 15. You are not worthy of my deep love and loyalty. Just say whatever you want to say here. I don't want Lu Yao to misunderstand. Holding her hand tightly, Su Chen said without any hesitation. I can go, you guys talk alone. Lu Yao said awkwardly. You are right here. Su Chen insisted not to let her leave. I don't even have the chance to talk to you alone now, right? Xin Shuo asked with a look of grievance. It seems that we have nothing to talk about. Su Chen said bluntly. Are you two really together? Xin Shuo asked with mixed feelings. Some people treat me like a weed, while others treat me like a treasure. We are very compatible and hit it off right from the start. Su Chen admitted it straightforwardly, which was also an explanation to Lu Yao. Then what am I? Xin Shuo asked. You are beyond my reach. I am not worthy of your charm, and you are not worthy of my deep affection and loyalty. Su Chen said expressionlessly. He is already very humble. Unfortunately, humility cannot be exchanged for love. So this time he refused to be an emotional parasite and found himself again. There is nothing between Ju Chao and me. He is not my ideal type. It's just a test for you, and you're about to pass it. Xin Shuo held on to hope that he would change his mind. It doesn't matter anymore. Su Chen said with a sneer. Is there really no possibility between us? Xin Shuo asked with tears streaming down her face. Love cannot overcome all difficulties, only compatibility can. Su Chen sighed. It's been 4 years. Don't you feel any regret? Xin Shuo sobbed softly. Regret is the norm in life. Su Chen said coldly. But I just don't understand. No matter how I made a fuss before, you would always comfort me. Why have you changed now? After all, Xin Shuo was still unwilling to give in. Especially when Lu Yao and Su Chen got together, it made her feel ironic. The bulletproof vest says it's bulletproof, but you just keep shooting with a gun. Su Chen responded pointedly. But bulletproof vests are designed to protect against bullets. Xin Shuo insisted. Born to be bulletproof, but not to be shot. Su Chen said angrily. Xin Shuo was speechless. I stood there for a moment, letting the tears flow freely. Su Chen turned a blind eye and immediately took Lu Yao's hand and left calmly. It's still early, can I stay with you for a while longer? After such a commotion, Lu Yao was unwilling to go back. Then let's go for a walk on the football field, Su Chen asked with a doting look on his face. It's all right. Lu Yao nodded slightly, and then said with a touching look, thank you for always taking care of my feelings. I just did what I should do. Su Chen smiled. But wouldn't it be too cruel to her? Lu Yao felt a little guilty. Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a golden key inserted into an iron lock, but it couldn't be opened. Then an iron key came and opened it immediately. Su Chen told the story. The iron key said to the golden key, do you know why you can't open the door? Because I am the original wife. No matter how noble your birth is, you can never fail to win her heart. The golden key said disdainfully, are you sick? I just think unlocking is fun. Why do I need her heart? But what does this tie lock have to do with? Lu Yao asked with her head tilted in confusion. The gold powder remaining in the keyhole makes Chisuor feel that the iron key is no longer worthy of it. Su Chen said meaningfully. Are you implying the relationship between Shen Shui, Zhu Chao and you? Lu Yao finally understood. How can I compare with the iron key? At least it can get in and open it. But I have never even held hands with it, otherwise I wouldn't have so much resentment. Su Chen shook his head and said self-deprecatingly. But others say that Bai Yue Guang's killing power is unstoppable and invincible. Can you withstand it? Lu Yao asked with a smile. I still say that, I have gained enlightenment at the cost of half my life, and I will die if I look back. Su Chen said with a firm look in his eyes. You seem to have a lot of resentment towards her. Lu Yao said angrily. That's because you don't know what I've been through. Now I just want to be good to you alone. Su Chen said from the bottom of his heart. As we were talking, the cell phone rang. It's Lin Ya calling. It was a boring draw, you won. Lin Ya said lightly. So what? Su Chen asked with a smile. I'm willing to accept the loss. No matter who I sell the song to, I'll listen to you. I believe in your vision. Lin Ya said casually. In that case, I hope we can have a pleasant cooperation. Su Chen said maturely. In recent years, the anti-corruption efforts in football have been quite strong. I am just wondering, why are you so sure that the result of this game will be 0:0? Lin Ya expressed her confusion and puzzlement. If I say I guessed it, you definitely wouldn't believe me. Su Chen joked. Even if it's just a guess, your courage is worthy of admiration. Lin Ya did not hide her admiration for him at all. After a pause, she continued, so, my next focus will be to promote because of love. I wish you a successful start. This song won't be too difficult for you. Su Chen said confidently. Then wait for my good news. Lin Ya said proudly. In the previous life, the theme MV Because of Love of the movie version of Love Is Not Blind was released on the afternoon of January 10, 2011. In other words, she doesn't have much time left. After hanging up the phone, Lu Yao looked at him with admiration and asked, success? This is easy. Su Chen smiled proudly. But the game hasn't ended yet. How can you be sure that the result will be 0:0? Lu Yao expressed her confusion and puzzlement. Before the game, I took a rough look at their lineup and injury situation, and then made a basic guess based on their strength. But in the final analysis, it still depends on luck, I just happened to win the bet. Su Chen said self-deprecatingly. Do you think Eason Chan and Fei Wong can really sing this song? Lu Yao asked expectantly. I won't let you wait too long. There will be results soon. Su Chen said confidently. The two of them strolled on the football field, and the orange light stretched their shadows infinitely. Lu Yao, in a good mood, stretched out her right hand and made half of a heart shape in the light. Su Chen understood what she meant, and quickly squatted down slightly and stretched out his left hand, matching her right hand to make a complete heart shape. The best love is probably that I admire you like a hero and you love me like a child. After sending Lu Yao back to the girls' dormitory, Su Chen returned satisfied. On the way, something suddenly rang in his ears and he quickly took out his cell phone. The lottery draw time for the double color ball is 21:15. It is almost 10 o'clock now, and the winning results should have come out long ago. Although he was full of confidence, he was still a little nervous. However, when he saw those familiar numbers, Su Chen breathed a sigh of relief. As expected, just like in his previous life, he won the third prize. However, unlike his previous life when he only won one bet, this time he bought one for 800 yuan. The third prize for a single ticket in the double color ball is fixed at 3,000 yuan. This time he bought 800 yuan, which means that the final prize is 1,200,000 yuan. According to the current personal income tax law, if the purchaser's single winning prize exceeds 10,000 yuan, he or she should pay 20% personal income tax on the full prize in accordance with national tax laws. If the prize for a single bet is less than 10,000 yuan, and the winner doubles the bet so that the total prize amount exceeds 10,000 yuan, no tax is required. Chen won the third prize of 3,000 yuan each. The tickets were printed at 3 times the amount of the single bet, so the maximum amount for each ticket was 9,000 yuan. Reasonable tax avoidance. Although the final prize was 1.2 million, the prize for a single bet was less than 10,000, so the 1.2 million was a net gain. 1.2 million in 2010, just thinking about it is exciting. Even though Chen was reborn, he couldn't stay calm at this moment. He danced all the way back to the dormitory. Since Chen's official announcement this morning, Xiong Yi, Chen Shuo and Bo have been sending him text messages one after another, asking what is going on. However, Chen was busy, so he didn't reply to them. It was almost 10 o'clock in the evening and Chen had not returned yet, so they couldn't help but start to speculate. It's already this late. Do you think Brother Chen won't come back tonight? Bo asked worriedly. You can stay outside overnight if you don't come back. This is progressing too fast. Xiong Yi, who was stealing vegetables, said disapprovingly. It doesn't matter if we stay overnight. The only thing to worry about is that we won't take any measures. Har har. Chen Shuo laughed obscenely. I'm so envious. I also want to indulge in the land of gentleness. Bo quickly agreed. When the three of them were chatting happily, there was a creak and the door of the dormitory was pushed open. Chen is back. What's making you laugh so wildly? I heard it downstairs. Chen asked playfully. Fuck you. Seeing him coming back, Bo and Chen Shuo rushed over to him. Xiong Yi, who was playing the stealing vegetables game, threw down his mouse and brutally pressed Chen to the ground. You're just forgetting your friendship for the sake of beauty. I've been sending you text messages all day long, but you didn't reply to any of them. Bo couldn't help but complain. Tell me your experience quickly. How did you take down Lu Yao? Xiong Yi asked excitedly. She is the school belle. Chen Shuo said with envy. Come down quickly. Don't you have any idea about tonnage? I'm almost crushed into a pancake. Chen's face turned red and he was breathing heavily. After finally getting up, facing their eager eyes, Chen said smugly, if I say she has always been secretly in love with me, you will definitely not believe it. Be careful or you'll get struck by lightning if you pretend to be cool. Chen Shuo had a look of contempt. To be honest with you, she and I were in love with each other. We hit it off from the moment we met and naturally got together. Chen said seriously. Do you know how my cow died? It was blown to death by you. Bo didn't buy it at all. At this moment, Xiong Yi said seriously with a serious expression, by the way, Brother Chen, I have something to tell you. Guo, the rich second generation from the finance department, came to see you just now. He is the loser who pursued Lu Yao for half a year but didn't even hold her hand. Chapter 16 I can't control him at all. What does he want from me? Chen asked with a stern expression after brushing off the dust on his body. He didn't say anything specific, but he came with bad intentions and looked very angry. I guess he also knows that you and Lu Yao are together. Xiong Yi guessed. So what? Chen smiled nonchalantly. I heard that he is a gangster. There were 2 tattooed men with him just now. Xiong Yi reminded worriedly. Does he dare to hit me? Chen said with disdain, raising his eyebrows. Better safe than sorry. Xiong Yi said worriedly. Chen was deeply impressed by Guo. His father, Guo Qiang, is a famous entrepreneur in Yiling City with a distinguished family background. But because he had a son in his old age, he doted on Guo in every way, which led to his arrogant, domineering and overbearing character. In his previous life, he hit 2 girls while driving at Sanjiang University, killing one and injuring one. After hitting someone, he not only did not report the accident to the police, but also fled the scene. After being stopped by students and security guards, he not only failed to care for the injured, but even shouted in a cold and arrogant manner, "Go ahead and sue me if you dare. My father is Guqiang." As a result, this matter caused a sensation on the internet. Although Guqiang wanted to use his financial power to get clemency outside the law, public outrage boiled over, and he eventually had to pay a huge sum of money as compensation, and Guohao was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Girls' dormitory. After Shen Shui came back, she lay on the desk and sobbed, feeling very aggrieved. She thought that Su Chen would come when she called and leave when she dismissed him, but she didn't expect that one day he would leave her. Those who are favored are fearless, while those who cannot get what they want are always in a state of turmoil. Over the years, she regarded Su Chen as a male best friend, a spare tire, and a bootlicker, but she never loved him seriously. It was because of this that she dared to openly go out with Zhu Chao to eat, watch movies, and travel, and even felt at ease holding hands and giving him her first kiss. Because in her opinion, Su Chen was there. That was her way out. But Shen Shui never dreamed that Su Chen would be together with the school beauty Lu Yao. "I thought it was an elaborately designed tragedy, but I didn't expect that they were actually serious about it and even announced it openly." At this moment, Shen Shui felt lost. Even though she had never loved before, she still felt unwilling to accept the loss when she was about to lose. "Xieshue, what's wrong with you?" Xu Bing, who had just returned to the dormitory, asked in surprise. "Didn't you see what Su Chen said? He and Lu Yao are together." Looking over, Shen Shui was crying. "Huang Yuan never lets me rest all day. I haven't even had time to check my phone." "What did Su Chen say?" Xu Bing said as he took out his phone to check. When seeing that powerful oath, Xu Bing murmured, "This sentence comes from Chuanher's river and sea together. It does have the meaning of confession. And judging from the location of the photo, they should be climbing Mount Moji. How capable is Su Chen? Bing Bing, what do you think I should do now?" Holding her hand, Shen Shui asked at a loss. "Is he still acting?" After thinking seriously, Xu Bing asked softly. "I just saw the two of them downstairs, and I questioned Su Chen face to face." Shen Shui said with tears in her eyes. "What are you asking?" Xu Bing's face looked a little solemn. "I said that going out with Zhu Chao was a test for him, and I was about to agree to be with him, but he said that regrets are the norm in life. Then I asked him if there was any possibility between us, and he replied that love cannot withstand all difficulties and only when the two are suitable can it be possible." "Bing Bing, do you think he really doesn't like me now?" Shen Shui asked, almost collapsed. "Don't panic. Believe in your own charm. Lu Yao is a well-known cold goddess in the school. I heard that Guohao, a rich second generation from the finance department, pursued her for nearly half a year but failed to hold her hand. How can Su Chen win her heart? I don't believe it." Xu Bing analyzed seriously. "By the way, they held hands today. I saw it with my own eyes," Shen Shui added. "No way." Xu Bing was shocked. "I can feel that Su Chen seems to no longer care about my feelings," Shen Shui said with a look of grievance. "Sister, why have you become so worried? Su Chen has never been your type. Your true love is Zhu Chao. His family is rich and has status. How can Su Chen compare to them?" Xu Bing consoled softly. "But I can't control him at all," Shen Shui said in tears. It would have been fine if Zhu Chao wasn't mentioned, but when he was mentioned, Shen Shui's mind immediately emerged with the scene in the mall today, making her furious. "How can you not control him? I see he is very obedient to you," Xu Bing said with a smile. "That's because he hasn't succeeded yet, otherwise he wouldn't take me seriously," Shen Shui said angrily. After a pause, she continued, "Today we were shopping together in the mall, and he used the excuse of running into an acquaintance to kiss and hug a young girl in black stockings downstairs. He didn't even take me seriously." "No way." Xu Bing looked incredulous. "I don't believe it either, but I saw it with my own eyes," Shen Shui affirmed. "Everyone says he is the king of the sea, but it seems he still hasn't given up." Taking a deep breath, Xu Bing said with emotion. "Bing Bing, what should I do now?" Shen Shui asked with a lost look. The expression on her face was particularly complicated. "Don't worry, calm down first. You are completely confused now. But you and Su Chen have been in a relationship for 4 years. Believe me, you won't just let it go like this." Xu Bing comforted. "You say, is it too much for him that I date Zhu Chao?" Shen Shuo reflected rarely. Don't think about the past anymore. Remember what I told you before, women are always right. Xu Bing said encouragingly. Then Shen Shuo wanted to say something else. Xu Bing interrupted her and said with a distressed look on his face, just do one thing now, turn off your phone, then take a shower and go to bed. As long as the sky hasn't fallen, everything will wait until tomorrow. I'll listen to you. Shen Shuo nodded pitifully. The next day, Su Chen got up early. He won 1.2 million but ultimately kept the secret and didn't tell anyone. But he really couldn't sleep, so he just waited for the city lottery center to open and rushed to claim the prize. Brother Chen, it's only 6 o'clock. Why are you getting up so early? Hearing the noise, Xiong Yi stuck his head out and asked. I'm going for a run to exercise, would you like to join me? Su Chen asked casually. Are you alone? Xiong Yi asked. Lu Yao is also exercising. Su Chen replied. Then what should I do? Be a light bulb for you? Boring. Xiong Yi complained and immediately covered his head and fell asleep. After quickly washing up, Su Chen, dressed in sportswear, came to the football field. As expected, Lu Yao had already started running on the track. When Su Chen caught up with her like a wild horse, Lu Yao looked at him with shining eyes, and could hardly believe her eyes. Why are you here too? Lu Yao asked softly while running. I'm trying my best to catch up with your pace. Su Chen replied with a smile. Don't make it hard on yourself. I think it's fine the way you are now. After all, everyone has different hobbies. Lu Yao said with a guilty conscience. But I enjoy every minute with you. Su Chen said affectionately. Lu Yao smiled sweetly. The two of them stopped talking and started running in tacit understanding. The two of them ran about 10 laps in one breath. It was Su Chen's first time to run. He barely managed to hold on and was panting like a cow, feeling very uncomfortable. On the other hand, Lu Yao, who had been exercising for a long time, was calm and composed. Apart from her flushed face, she didn't even breathe heavily. Are you okay? Drink some water. Lu Yao took out a kettle and handed it over. Forget it, I'll go back to the dormitory and drink later. Su Chen swallowed and declined. Just drink it from your mouth. I don't mind you anyway. If you don't mind me, I will drink it. Lu Yao said tenderly. How could I dislike you? Su Chen quickly defended himself. He immediately took the water and gulped down a few gulps. So delicious. Lu Yao chuckled, took the kettle and drank a few sips. Do you have classes in the morning? Lu Yao asked as they walked. Yes, advanced mathematics and microeconomics. Su Chen replied quickly. My first class is C language, which is in a different location from yours, so I can't go with you. Lu Yao said with a little disappointment. How about we have breakfast together and then go our separate ways? Su Chen asked expectantly. You spend all your time on me. Will the people in your dormitory laugh at you? Lu Yao tilted her head and looked over. You are the aloof goddess who is out of reach in the eyes of others, but you are my daily life. They can only envy you. Su Chen said proudly while holding her delicate little hand. Don't give me that. Lu Yao laughed coquettishly, then waved her hand and said, Then, see you later. I'll wait for you downstairs in the dormitory later. Su Chen said softly. Just stay downstairs in the boys' dormitory. I'll come find you. Lu Yao said seriously that she didn't want to be embarrassed by running into Shen Shuo again. Okay, I'll listen to you. Su Chen nodded slightly. How fast does a man take a shower? No faster than a song. A handkerchief, wiped from head to crotch. After all, we are all our own flesh and blood, so why should we divide us into high and low? Faced with the temptation of a huge prize of 1.2 million, Su Chen really had no intention of attending class. So after having breakfast with Lu Yao, the two parted ways. However, he did not go to class. Instead, he took his ID card and lottery ticket and went alone to the city welfare lottery center. He checked carefully before leaving and found out that the lottery center would not officially open until 8:30. If he left now, he would be able to get there as soon as they opened. Of course, he also did not forget to call Xiong Yi and ask him to help him ask for leave. Xiong Yi was confused. I was wondering why Su Chen, who had just gone for a morning jog, suddenly asked for leave. There must be something more important than attending class, such as the reeds outside the building, or clapping for love with the girl you love. Chapter 17. Understand King Ju, become King Ju, and surpass King Ju. Great wealth is determined by fate, small wealth is determined by hard work. Poverty is not revealed, and wealth is not revealed. 1.2 million may not be considered a huge prize in the eyes of many people, but Su Chen's identity is sensitive after all. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he went to a nearby shopping mall and bought a happy headgear before receiving the award to avoid being recognized when receiving the award. At 8:30, Su Chen was the first to appear at the Municipal Welfare Lottery Center. He thought he had arrived early enough, but when he got there was already a 50-year-old man waiting there. Glancing at the hood in Su Chen's hand, the uncle immediately asked with shining eyes, "Young man, did you win the first prize?" "How can I be so lucky?" Su Chen said self-deprecatingly. "The second prize is not bad either. I roughly calculated that it is almost 210,000 before tax." The uncle said calmly. "I won the third prize," Su Chen said with a smile. "The third prize has a fixed amount of only 3,000 yuan. I didn't wear a headgear when I won the second prize." "Why are you wearing a headgear when you win the third prize?" "There is no need." The uncle laughed sarcastically. Su Chen was too lazy to explain and just lowered his head to scroll through his phone. The staff are skilled in their work and never ask questions that are not necessary. Soon, Su Chen successfully got a check for 1.2 million yuan. All he had to do next was to go to the bank and transfer the money to his bank card. Just as he got the check and was about to leave, the uncle who won the second prize quickly caught up with him and asked enthusiastically, "Young man, you have 400 third prizes, with a total prize of 1.2 million. Are you playing the pig to eat the tiger?" "I thought I still had to pay taxes, but the staff told me that single bets below 10,000 yuan do not require taxes." Su Chen pretended to be confused. "It turns out that the clown is actually me." The uncle laughed awkwardly. He also wanted to say something, such as adding contact information to discuss experiences and insights on buying lottery tickets. But Su Chen was young and quick-footed, and before the uncle could even open his mouth, he had disappeared into the crowd. After hurriedly leaving the lottery center, Su Chen rushed to the bank and transferred all the 1.2 million on the check into his bank card. In this way, whether you are buying BTC or developing games, you will have the original funds. Of course, I still owe brother Xiong Yi a few hundred yuan. So he took out 1,000 yuan, used 500 to pay off his debts, and kept the remaining 500 for living expenses. When I finished all this and returned to school, it was almost noon. So he contacted Lu Yao in advance and ordered her favorite clay pot rice, waiting for her to eat it after school. "Why did you come so early?" Lu Yao asked in surprise after meeting. "Where I take classes is closer to the cafeteria." Su Chen evaded the question. "Where are the people in your dormitory?" Lu Yao asked. "It should be here soon," Su Chen replied. Just as the two of them were eating and chatting, Xiong Yi, Chen Shuo and Bo came over with plates of food. "Hello, sister-in-law." After meeting, Xiong Yi and the other two shouted in unison. Lu Yao, who was eating, was slightly stunned, and suddenly two blushes appeared on her cheeks. As a school belle, she is the center of attention wherever she appears. After Xiong Yi and the others made such a commotion, countless pairs of eyes immediately looked over at her, making Lu Yao feel socially awkward. She lowered her head in shame and dared not speak. "You all, sit down the fucking way," Su Chen complained speechlessly. "Ahem, brother Chen, didn't you ask us to shout like this when we met last time?" Bo asked with a simple smile. "Shut up," Su Chen said unhappily. Seeing that Lu Yao was burying her head and it was hard to tell whether she was angry or shy, he quickly apologized and said, "They were just joking, don't be angry." "Am I such a stingy person?" Lu Yao raised her head and asked with a smile. "My sister-in-law is not only naturally beautiful, but also graceful and generous." Xiong Yi quickly complimented her. "After all, we are in school. We should be careful about the impact. It's better to just call her by her name." Knowing that Lu Yao was embarrassed, Su Chen quickly expressed his attitude. "Brother Chen, aren't you going to make a formal introduction?" Chen Shuo asked with a smile. Su Chen nodded in agreement, and quickly took Lu Yao's hand and said, "Lu Yao, you all know that she is a freshman in our college majoring in software engineering, and she is now my girlfriend." These three are my brothers in the dormitory. Xiong Yi, we all call him Little Bear, this one is Chen Shuo, and this one is from the prairie, his name is Li Bo. Nice to meet you. Lu Yao smiled sweetly. We are all thanks to Brother Chen, otherwise we wouldn't have the chance to meet you. Xiong Yi said self-deprecatingly. They are all funny guys. A burst of nonsense made Lu Yao laugh so hard that she was shaking with laughter. After lunch, Lu Yao returned to the girls' dormitory, while Su Chen went back with Xiong Yi and the other two. I hope I didn't embarrass you, Brother Chen. Xiong Yi asked complacently after watching Lu Yao leave. She performed quite well. Su Chen nodded with satisfaction, and then asked, what do you think of her? I've heard that she is beautiful before, but after observing her up close today, I found that she is indeed breathtakingly beautiful, and she has a great personality, which is something Shen Shui can't compare to at all. After a little thought, Xiong Yi expressed his thoughts. It's more than enough for a rough guy like you. Li Bo complained. Question King Ju, understand King Ju, become King Ju, and surpass King Ju. Chen Shuo said with envy. Su Chen nodded proudly, and immediately took out 500 yuan to return the money he had borrowed from them 2 days ago. Brother Chen, what are you doing? Knowing that he was in trouble, Xiong Yi did not reach out to take it. I have enough money, you can take it. Su Chen said generously. Are you planning to live off me? Li Bo laughed jokingly. If I can really live off someone, that's a skill. Su Chen said self-deprecatingly. Dating doesn't require money. Where do you get the money? Chen Shuo asked with a confused look on his face. Didn't I post a status yesterday? My parents saw it, and gave me a little more living expenses. Su Chen explained perfunctorily. After all, he couldn't tell them that he had won 1.2 million. So what's your parents' attitude towards your relationship? Xiong Yi asked curiously. Men should get married when they are old enough, and women should get married when they are old enough. I'm already in college, so isn't it normal for me to have a relationship? They are all very supportive. Su Chen said proudly. That's right. If I could find a school beauty as my girlfriend, my parents would probably go crazy and sell cattle and sheep. Li Bo said angrily. By the way, Brother Chen, what did you do when you took leave this morning? Did you really get a room with Lu Yao? Xiong Yi asked with interest. When drywood meets fire, when a long drought meets sweet rain, the scene is so exciting that it makes people's blood boil. Chen Shuo described it vividly, and Su Chen frowned when he heard it. You can't spit out ivory from a dog's mouth, just shut up. Su Chen said speechlessly. After returning to the dormitory, he began to study BTC. In this era, BTC has not yet become a popular digital currency in the world, so naturally there is no digital currency exchange like Coinbase. Su Chen searched carefully and found 3 ways to buy BTC. The first option is to buy through miners. Mining is relatively easy right now, and you can even mine using a computer or laptop, so naturally you can also buy from miners. Second, join the BTC forum. There are relevant enthusiasts gathered on the forum, and you can communicate with them and ask for prices privately. Third, through P2P transactions. Simply put, it is to find other people to sell BTC through websites such as Local Bitcoins, and then conduct face-to-face cash transactions or complete the transactions through transfers. It's not hard to see that the only 3 methods of buying it right now aren't easy, but that is the current state of BTC. Just as Su Chen was thinking about how to proceed with the next move, the dormitory door that was originally half closed was suddenly kicked open with a bang. It's Guahao. Having come back empty-handed last night, he came to the dormitory again. At this moment, he was followed by 2 tattooed men with dyed yellow hair. They looked like gangsters and were not easy to mess with. After coming in, Guahao stared at Su Chen and walked straight towards him. When they saw this scene, Xiong Yi, Chen Shuo and Li Bo all stood up at the same time, frowning and looking nervous. Are you Su Chen? Guahao asked coldly after walking over. Is there something? Su Chen asked calmly. What is your relationship with Lu Yao? Guahao asked straight to the point without beating around the bush. She is my girlfriend. Su Chen said calmly. Am I giving you face? Go out and ask around, everyone knows that Lu Yao is my girlfriend. You even dare to flirt with my woman, you must be tired of living. Guahao spoke foul language, full of anger and ready to attack at any time. You said Lu Yao is your girlfriend. Su Chen stood up slowly. What? Do you have any objections? With a cigarette dangling from his lips, Guo took a deep puff. Have you held her hand? Su Chen sneered. Guo body trembled and his face instantly turned gloomy. Su Chen disagreed and then asked, have you kissed her? What do you mean? If you don't explain yourself clearly today, I'll take your last name if you leave the dormitory alive. Guo roared. As he spoke, he threw the cigarette in his mouth to the ground and stomped on it hard. Don't you understand? Not only did I hold her hand, but I also kissed her. The person she likes is me. Faced with the threat, Su Chen chose to confront it head on, with no intention of backing down. Damn it! Guo was completely enraged. In a rage, the two yellow-haired guys next to him rushed over decisively as if they had received an order. Su Chen refused to tolerate this and swung a chair at him. Almost at the same time, Xiong Yi, Chen Shuo and Li Bo, who had recovered from their shock, did not hesitate and rushed up like wolves and tigers. This matter has nothing to do with you. If you dare to take any action, I will kill you. Guo warned. Fuck you. Xiong Yi didn't care about that and immediately kicked him hard in the chest, sending him flying to the ground. Chapter 18, If you use up your defense, I will kill you with one strike. It was noon now, and almost all the students had returned to the dormitory after lunch. When they heard the noise of a fierce fight coming from dormitory 404, a group of boys, led by class monitor Cheng Feiyang, rushed in and instantly trapped the three people led by Guo inside. They were all at the age of full of vigor and vitality. Although Guo's reputation as a bully was known to everyone, they didn't bother to pay attention to it since the bullying had come to the dormitory. In a word, don't care about life or death, just fight if you don't agree. After a series of brutal actions, Guo and the other two were beaten black and blue and finally staggered out of the dormitory. Do you want to call the police? Cheng Feiyang asked with concern. We haven't suffered any loss, so let's just leave it at that. Su Chen said gratefully as he picked up the chair. I heard that the guy is vindictive and I'm afraid he won't let it go. Cheng Feiyang said worriedly. Thank you for what you did just now. I will pay attention to it. Su Chen said gratefully. After Cheng Feiyang and other brothers left, Su Chen and the other three also breathed a sigh of relief. That guy is so bold that he actually dares to come to the dormitory to cause trouble. Chen Shuo complained. The squad leader is right. He suffered a loss today and will definitely cause trouble for you again. Xiong Yi said worriedly. Brother Chen, don't act alone these days. Even if you go on a date, take us with you. We will be your bodyguards. The sturdy Li Bo repeatedly reminded him. Don't worry, I will find a way to solve this problem. Su Chen nodded with relief. But just as I sat down, my cell phone rang. A number ending in 666 called. Su Chen, you have guts. I'll remember this matter today. There will always be a time when you are left alone, right? Just wait for me. It's Guo. He was beaten and fled in panic, feeling furious and threatening to take revenge. Was it Guo who called? Seeing Su Chen's ugly face, Xiong Yi hurriedly walked up to him. Just an unwilling dog. Su Chen said nonchalantly. We have both witnesses and evidence. If all else fails, call the police, or find the counselor or class teacher. Xiong Yi said anxiously, frowning. People like him are heretics and rebels against the Tiangang. You can't threaten him with normal means. If you want to fight against bad guys, sometimes you have to use extraordinary means. Su Chen said coldly, with a fierce look flashing in his black eyes. But we are all poor students. What extraordinary measures can we take? Chen Shuo said dejectedly, slumped in his chair. This matter was caused by me. As long as you don't interfere, Guo shouldn't make things difficult for you. Su Chen comforted with a smile. What? Do you look down on us brothers? Li Bo asked unhappily. I just don't want you to get involved in this mess. Su Chen explained. We are brothers after all, we can't just remain indifferent. There's nothing to say about this. We'll go to school and eat together in the future. Even if you want to pee, you have to call us along. I want to see what he can do. Patting Su Chen's shoulder, Xiong Yi said proudly. Thank you, brothers. Su Chen said from the bottom of his heart with red eyes. Who are we talking to? Xiong Yi said casually. They have never disappointed anyone, either in the past or in this life. Su Chen has classes in the first and second periods in the afternoon, while Lu Yao has classes in the third and fourth periods. They agreed to have dinner together in the evening. After arriving at the classroom, Su Chen, Xiong Yi and 3 others sat in a row at the back. Chen Shuo, who was sitting in the front, looked back. Su Chen turned a blind eye and didn't even look in her direction. "Brother Chen, she just turned around and looked at you," Xiong Yi said in a low voice. "Ignore her," Su Chen said coldly. "How do you plan to deal with your relationship with her?" Xiong Yi asked. "We'll never see each other again." After thinking about it, Su Chen blurted out. "Oh my god, she's coming." Chen Shuo reminded quickly. At this moment, Chen Shuo was standing in front of Xiong Yi holding 2 books, and said calmly, "Move aside, I want to sit next to you." Xiong Yi looked embarrassed, but he finally left tactfully. Su Chen was about to leave, but Chen Shuo forced him to stay in his seat, and then asked coldly, "Do you hate me so much now? Let's keep our distance. I don't want Lu Yao to misunderstand." Su Chen said indifferently. "What kind of magic potion did she give you to make you so bewildered? Is our 4 years of relationship not as good as this?" Chen Shuo asked with red eyes. "Do you really want to know?" Su Chen sneered. "Tell me about it." Chen Shuo insisted. "I fell in love with her at first sight, then I confessed to her and she agreed." Su Chen said frankly. "But how long have you known her? Do you understand her?" Chen Shuo asked in annoyance. "It doesn't matter anymore. I just know that she respects me very much and I like her very much. That's enough." Su Chen said lightly. "We have known each other for 4 years. If we missed each other, wouldn't you feel regretful?" Shen Shuo asked emotionally and logically. "What do you want to say?" Su Chen sneered. "What I want to say is, I promise you, I am willing to be with you." Shen Shuo bit her lips tightly and said with courage. "But I don't want to." Su Chen said unmoved. "Is it just because of Ju Chao? Don't get me wrong, he and I are not the same kind of people." Shen Shuo hurriedly explained. "I confessed to you for 4 years, and you rejected me for 4 years. Why are you suddenly willing to accept me? Do you like me more or do you just don't want to see Lu Yao and I together, which makes you feel frustrated?" Su Chen asked with a clear mind. "Rejection doesn't mean I don't like you. It's my test of you," Shen Shuo argued. "I spent 4 years trying to warm your heart and failed. It wasn't until you were about to leave that you realized you couldn't bear to let me go. Stop deceiving yourself. You never really liked me." Su Chen said self-deprecatingly after taking a deep breath. "But I really don't want to miss you." Tears flowed down her face, and Shen Shuo said with a look of grievance. "There is a passage in Camel Xiangzi, there are not many truths in this world, and a woman's blush is better than a long dialogue." But after Rouge appeared, it was hard to tell whether it was true or false. Su Chen said indifferently. "Don't we really have any chance?" Shen Shuo looked over eagerly. "There is an armor-piercing bow in League of Legends, called the Last Whisper. It is an item that can penetrate armor and defense, but it is given the most gentle name. This is because a heavy sword cannot penetrate the heart armor, and a whisper in the ear is the most powerful. Interestingly, the armor-piercing bow is almost useless when the opponent doesn't have defensive equipment, but the higher the opponent's defense, the more deadly the damage of the armor-piercing bow will be. If you max out your defense, I can kill you with 1 strike. I've thought it through. No matter how much I like you, I don't want you anymore. I no longer have the courage to continue pestering you, nor do I have that persistence. I'll let you go, and I'll let myself go." Su Chen said with relief. He immediately ignored Shen Shuo, who was in tears, and insisted on getting up and sitting in the front. He spoke softly, but the classroom was silent, and almost everyone was eating melon silently. After all, in the eyes of many people, the fact that Su Chen had the courage to give up a top-notch university and come to Sanjiang University to fight for love is enough to explain everything. But Shen Shuo is always greedy when it comes to love, which is bound to make people angry. So at this moment, when Su Chen explicitly rejected her, many people were secretly happy in their hearts and laughed at Shen Shuo for messing up. "Brother Chen, you are really tough this time." Xiong Yi also ran to the front and sat together. "Let go of one thought and you will be free from all worries," Su Chen said calmly. Soon, their head teacher, Lao Yu, came. With 2 minutes left in class, he put down his book and sat next to Su Chen, asking him about how he saved the damsel in distress on Friday night. Su Chen evaded the question with a few words, unwilling to say more about the matter. So, you and her are really together? Lao Yu lowered his voice and gossiped. What do you mean? Su Chen looked surprised. The mountains and rivers are vast, the world is full of fireworks, everything is you, everything is you. Old Yu grinned and laughed. I remember the QQ space settings are invisible to you. Su Chen was panicked. Maybe I am the fish that slipped through the net. Old Yu said slowly. As he spoke, he glanced at Chen Shuo and wanted to say something. After all, the reason why Su Chen condescended to come to Sanjiang University was for her, and this matter has become a good story in the school. But now Su Chen is together with Lu Yao, which means that his relationship with Chen Shuo is completely over. Lao Yu still wanted to get to the bottom of the matter. But the bell for class rang and he had to go up and start class. Su Chen was already extremely talented, and after his rebirth he had the ability to remember everything he saw. For him, it was just a matter of learning C language again, so he understood it immediately. No matter how tricky the questions Lao Yu asked were, he could answer them fluently. After 2 classes, Lao Yu came up to him with an admiring look on his face and said, "Did you take what I told you last time to heart?" "I've always remembered it." Su Chen nodded slightly. "If you're not busy in the evening, come over and take a look." "I'll be there then," Lao Yu said expectantly. "Okay." Su Chen agreed. There are no classes in the afternoon and evening. So after school, Su Chen planned to go to the library to read, and then go to the cafeteria to eat with Lu Yao after school. The 3 brothers Xiong Yi never left his side, like guards with swords. Old Yu asked you to bring someone with you. Who do you plan to bring? Xiong Yi asked excitedly on their way to the library. It's a good opportunity to keep money in the family. It's a rare opportunity to make money, so take us along. Chen Shuo said with anticipation. You 3 should stop blindly following suit. You won't understand even if you go there. Su Chen said bluntly. You look down on others too much. Li Bo said unhappily. That was the project that Lao Yu took over. We just got started with programming. Even if I went there, I would just be a bystander. Su Chen said bluntly. But you have to bring someone with you, right? Chen Shuo asked. I've already thought about it. Take Lu Yao with you. Su Chen grinned. He values women over friends. It turns out that he forgets about his brothers once he has a girlfriend. Xiong Yi complained crazily. Su Chen, stop right there. Just then, an angry voice sounded from behind. Looking back, I saw Shen Shue's best friend Xu Bing quickly catching up with me. Chapter 19 The female boxer who ignores the facts. How did she come? Li Bo frowned. No need to guess, he must be here to stand up for Shen Shuo. Xiong Yi said sarcastically. Why don't you go first? Su Chen said calmly. How can that be possible? What if Guo Hao's grandson comes to cause trouble again? We will just watch from the side and won't say anything. Chen Shuo said stubbornly, actually he also had the mentality of watching the show. Soon, Xu Bing came up angrily. As soon as we met, she started to scold me. What do you mean? Don't be so arrogant. Xie Xue just went out for dinner with Zhu Chao after rejecting you on 520, and then accompanied him to stroll along the river. Is it necessary for you to keep holding onto it? As a man, can you be more generous? Besides, you are openly with Lu Yao. Did she say anything? And she apologized to you last night and just now. Why are you still pretending to be so reserved? Girls are naturally more delicate, so why don't you give in to her a little more? Don't tell me that you are an irresponsible, incoherent, attitude-less, and insincere scumbag. Don't try to reason with us, all I want is an attitude. Putting aside the facts, even if Xie Xue was wrong, don't you have any fault at all? She has already apologized, what else do you want? To put it another way, she just made a mistake that all women would make. Didn't your mother teach you to give in to this girl? Xu Bing complained crazily. This explosive view left Su Chen and the other 3 stunned. Wow, this punch requires at least 20 years of practice. Most people can't withstand it. Su Chen sneered at this and didn't take it seriously. But when his parents were mentioned, his face suddenly darkened and he angrily said, You are so awesome, it's a shame you don't go boxing. What do you mean? Xu Bing asked angrily. Because I'm poor, my boyfriend must be rich because I'm short, he must be tall because I'm ugly, he must be handsome because I'm dark inside, he must be sunny. What you boxers want is never equality, but privilege. Su Chen sarcastically said. Women are born to be pampered, so what if we want some privileges? Xu Bing asked back with confidence. Do you know why lightning rods are installed in temples? It's because there are many people like you making wishes. Su Chen said angrily. Without waiting for Xu Bing to speak, he left without looking back. Brother Chen, you are so good at arguing. Xiong Yi said with admiration. The legendary female boxer, I finally got to see her today, she's so scary. Bo said angrily. Cherish life and stay away from feminism. Chen Shuo said with lingering fear. If I remember correctly, she has changed 3 boyfriends since the start of school, right? Su Chen said teasingly. Everyone in the class knows about this. Every time they break up suddenly, and then connect again seamlessly. There's something wrong with her character. Chen Shuo complained mercilessly. Maybe Xin Shui was led astray by being with her. Xiong Yi said indignantly. There is a God above your head. Don't be afraid of others knowing it, but be afraid of yourself knowing it. Even though she is having a lot of fun now, she will pay the price in the end. Su Chen said indifferently. In his memory of his previous life, Xu Bing was infected with HIV in his senior year because he played too much. Perhaps, this is what is called retribution. In order to thank Xiong Yi and the other 2 for their protection, Su Chen specially bought them each a cup of milk tea at the supermarket below the library. Considering his current financial resources, this amount of money is just a drop in the bucket. But Xiong Yi and the other 2 were so grateful that they burst into tears, and kept flattering their godfather. As soon as I sat down in the library, Lin Chen called me and said he wanted to sign a partnership agreement. Su Chen asked him to come to the school to sign, after all, he had something else to do in the evening. Half an hour later, Lin Chen sent a text message saying that he had arrived and was on the road outside the library. I have to go out for a while. You guys wait here. I'll be back soon. Glancing at the 3 Xiong Yi brothers, Su Chen lowered his voice and said. How can that be possible? We go wherever you go. Xiong Yi said firmly. It's right at the entrance of the library. Su Chen explained. Is there something shameful that you don't want us to know? Chen Shuo grinned. Then let's go together. Shrugging slightly, Su Chen shook his head helplessly. Outside the library, a bright red Ferrari F430 was parked on the side of the road. Lin Chen was sitting next to the front of the car. When he saw Su Chen from a distance, he waved to him to come over. Oh my God, Brother Chen, you're not going to tell me that the Ferrari is coming for you. Chen Shuo looked over with shining eyes, unable to believe his eyes. You have all heard of Yiling Dak, right? Su Chen asked proudly. Even if you haven't seen a pig run, you have to have eaten pork. As one of the top 10 famous wines in China, its advertisements are everywhere. Chen Shuo replied. That man is Lin Qian, the son of the boss of Yiling Dak. Su Chen introduced casually. What does he want from you? Xiong Yi asked suspiciously. His sister Lin Ye and I jointly established a company, and he came to me to sign a partnership agreement. Su Chen replied with a smile. Oh my God, did I hear it wrong or did you say it wrong? Bo asked in astonishment. It's just a small matter, not worth mentioning. Su Chen said casually. How many things are you hiding from us? Why do I feel like I'm almost out of your league? Chen Shuo said in shock. Su Chen smiled and didn't explain. You're finally here. After meeting, Lin Qian said with a beaming face, and quickly handed over the agreement he had prepared in advance. Su Chen didn't even look at it carefully. He took the pen and signed his name. Don't you want to take a closer look at the contents here? Lin Qian asked with a little surprise. I believe in your sister's character. Su Chen handed it back calmly. He has personality. I like him. Lin Qian nodded with satisfaction, and then expressed his curiosity. Let me ask you a question. How did you know that the result of the match between Changsha Jinde and Shenzhen Red Diamonds was 0:0? I don't know, I'm just guessing. Su Chen said calmly. Then aren't you afraid of losing the bet? Lin Qian asked. But it turns out that I won the bet. Su Chen said proudly. You're really something. My sister said you are courageous, but in my opinion, You are just a barefoot person who is not afraid of wearing shoes. Lin Chen teased with a smile. It doesn't matter. Su Chen shrugged slightly, then asked casually, where's your sister? She is a workaholic and went back to the capital overnight. If it weren't for you, even I wouldn't be able to see her this time. Lin Chen said helplessly. Su Chen nodded slightly and stopped talking. Lin Chen was too lazy to continue talking, so he took the agreement and prepared to get in the car and leave. On the side, Xiong Yi, Chen Shuo and Bo looked like they had never seen the world before and vied to take photos with Ferrari. But at this moment, a Yuling van suddenly stepped on the accelerator and rushed towards Lin Chen. The incident happened suddenly, catching everyone off guard. Lin Chen, who had not yet had the chance to get on the bus, stood there in a daze with a look of horror on his face. His feet felt as if they were filled with lead and he was unable to move. At this moment, thousands of thoughts flashed through Su Chen's mind. He suddenly remembered that there was a related report on this day in his previous life, that the son of the richest man in Yiling died in a car accident. However, the accident did not happen at Sanjiang University, but on Yangjiang Avenue. Thinking of this, Su Chen's body shook. Regardless of the risk of being hit, he rushed towards Lin Chen like a flash of lightning, and forcibly pulled him over just before he was hit by the truck. Bang bang. The truck hit the Ferrari hard. Although Lin Chen was pulled out by Su Chen, the Ferrari lost control after being hit and hit him hard again. Then, under a terrible impact force, Lin Chen was thrown 3 meters away, his head was bleeding and he lost consciousness. Su Chen's luck was relatively good. The out-of-control Ferrari slid past his body and did not hurt him. Brother Chen, are you okay? Xiong Yi was frightened out of his wits. Call 120 and the police quickly. Su Chen tried to stay calm. Okay, I'll fight you right away. Xiong Yi stammered. How are you? Bo, who had recovered from his shock, quickly showed concern. I'm fine. Go and see how he is. Su Chen asked worriedly. Brother Chen, he looks seriously injured, with a broken head, and is now unconscious. I'm afraid Chen Shuo, who had been observing Lin Chen, stood up with a particularly solemn expression on his face. See if he's still breathing. Su Chen asked quickly. It seems, it's gone. Chen Shuo said palely after reaching out to check. Then what are you waiting for? Give him artificial respiration. Su Chen said anxiously. He immediately rushed over and performed CPR on him. Sanjiang University has its own hospital. Upon learning that a car accident had occurred here, the doctor from the school hospital not far away came over immediately. Soon, the police arrived. The driver who caused the accident was controlled immediately. Because Su Chen and other 3 were witnesses, they were immediately taken back to the police station to take their statements. However, because there were cameras nearby that recorded the entire process of the car accident, they just went through the motions and were released in less than 2 hours. Brother Chen, do you think Lin Chen will be okay? Xiong Yi asked worriedly as they walked out of the police station. It's indeed a dangerous situation. I hope he can survive this. Su Chen said slowly with a long sigh. As far as I can remember, Lin Chen died young in his previous life. It is unknown whether he can change his fate in this life because of his intervention, but Su Chen still hopes that he can have a good ending. The 2 brothers Xiong Yi originally planned to take the bus back because it was cheap and affordable. But Su Chen hailed a taxi. After all, for a man worth millions, there was no need to be so stingy. As soon as I got in the car, Lu Yao called. I heard that you were at the scene of the car accident and were taken to the police station. Are you okay? Lu Yao asked anxiously. I just gave a statement. I just came out of the police station and am on my way back. Su Chen comforted. Are you not hurt? Lu Yao asked. We are all fine, but Lin Chen was hit and we don't know how he is now. Su Chen said worriedly with a long sigh. Are you coming back for dinner? Lu Yao asked. We will be at school soon. If you haven't eaten yet, wait for us in the cafeteria and we will eat together. Su Chen said softly. Okay, I'll still wait for you at the old seat. Lu Yao breathed a sigh of relief. After hanging up the phone, Su Chen looked outside with a lot of thoughts in his mind. But at this moment, the phone rang again. This time it was Shen Shui who called. Chapter 20. Who doesn't he like a beautiful schoolgirl? Brother Chen, your cell phone is ringing. The honest Bo patted his shoulder. I'm not deaf, I just don't want to answer it. Su Chen, who was sitting in the passenger seat, looked back and answered. Let me guess, it's Chen Shuo calling. Xiong Yi teased. You really guessed it. Su Chen said with a smile. What's wrong with her these past few days? She used to be indifferent to you and acted superior to you, but today before class she apologized to you in front of the whole class. Now she's taking the initiative to call you to show her concern. Has her conscience awakened? Chen Shuo asked jokingly. People are really interesting. They tend to be a little ungrateful when they are loved. They don't cherish it when they have it, and only regret it after they lose it. Su Chen sneered. So, are you going to answer this call or not? Chen Shuo asked with interest. She and I are not destined to be together. Su Chen decisively chose to refuse. You've broken up with her countless times, but this time you're serious, Bo said angrily. Su Chen smiled and said nothing. When Su Chen and the other three arrived at the cafeteria, Lu Yao had already ordered clay pot rice for them. Oh, my sister-in-law is treating us. Chen Shuo said flattered. I've already said that calling her sister-in-law has a bad influence. Just call her Sister Yao. Su Chen hurriedly reminded. I like this name. Lu Yao smiled sweetly. Thank you, Sister Yao, for the treat. Xiong Yi said gratefully. Sister Yao, thank you for the expense. Bo said a little embarrassedly. Eat quickly, it's getting cold. Lu Yao urged. A person who works hard at eating has a good eating spirit. Bo, Chen Shuo and others started to eat voraciously as if they were released from a starvation prison. Why don't you eat? Su Chen asked softly when he saw Lu Yao holding her face with her hands and looking at him. I waited here for a while, and when I saw you guys didn't come, I ate a bowl of noodles in advance. Lu Yao smiled and asked quickly, is there no news about Lin Qian yet? He was taken away by an ambulance, and I can't contact him unless. Su Chen, who had just taken 2 bites, suddenly put down his chopsticks. Unless what? Lu Yao asked quickly. I have the phone number of his sister Lin Ya. Maybe she knows what Lin Qian's current situation is. Having said that, Su Chen quickly took out his mobile phone and called Lin Ya. Unfortunately, her phone was turned off. She should be on the plane back. I'll contact her later. Su Chen said with a sigh. Good things come to those who are lucky. Don't worry, he will be fine. Lu Yao said softly to comfort him. By the way, do you have anything to do tonight? Su Chen suddenly asked seriously. I don't have classes tonight, so I plan to go to the library to study. If you have any plans, I can skip it. Lu Yao replied. It's like this. Our class teacher, Lao Yu, is working on a project with several graduate students. They are currently short of manpower, so he asked me to bring someone over to help out, and there will be a living allowance. I've thought about it and can't find anyone suitable. If you are willing, we can work together. Su Chen said concisely. Is it okay if I'm not your professional? Lu Yao was a little tempted. As long as they are from the School of Computer Science, Su Chen replied. Then count me in. Lu Yao laughed happily. Xiong Yi, Chen Shuo and Bo were just busy eating. Seeing that they had finished their meal quickly, Lu Yao, who was worried that they were not full, asked hurriedly, what else do you want to eat? I'll go buy it for you. No need, Sister Yao, I'm full. Xiong Yi said after wiping his mouth. It's a rare opportunity to have such a good training, don't you want to go? After nodding slightly, Lu Yao asked suspiciously. Is it because we don't want to go? I'm embarrassed to say it, it's Brother Chen who doesn't want to take us. Chen Shuo couldn't help but complain. What's going on? Lu Yao was confused. Haven't you figured it out yet? You'll definitely get to do this kind of thing first, there's no way it'll be our turn. Bo said with a sneer. Is what they said true? Lu Yao asked in confusion. Why don't you ask them what the structure of the algorithm is? What is the priority of the operators? How to write the general form of nested if-else statements? Su Chen couldn't help but teasing. Hearing this, Xiong Yi and the other two looked around and talked about something else. Look, the moon is so round today. Chen Shuo quickly changed the subject. The wind is also very gentle. Xiong Yi couldn't help laughing. Suitable for hunting wild animals. Bo said honestly. The word made Su Chen and Lu Yao burst into laughter. After a quick dinner, Su Chen and Lu Yao went straight to the address given by Lao Yu. Xiong Yi and two other men acted as sword-bearing guards on both sides. You guys are going too? Seeing the three of them following closely behind, Lu Yao asked in confusion. We won't go to the studio. Our mission is to protect Brother Chen. Xiong Yi answered casually. There's no danger in school, what are you worried about? Lu Yao said lightly, thinking they were making a fuss out of nothing. Sister Yao, that's because you don't know what happened today, Guahao. Bo said it bluntly. However, after being glared at by Su Chen, he immediately shut up. Lu Yao was very intelligent, and when she heard Guahao mentioned, she immediately guessed what was going on. What's going on? Has Guahao ever caused you any trouble? Lu Yao asked with a complicated expression, frowning. Don't worry about this, I will take care of it. Su Chen explained quickly. Lu Yao didn't say anything, but stared closely. Su Chen couldn't resist and sighed, it's nothing serious. Guahao was a little unwilling to accept that we were together. He came to the dormitory to cause trouble for me at noon today and even started fighting. In the end, he got beaten up. He didn't hurt you, did he? Lu Yao asked nervously. I'm fine, but he was beaten black and blue. Su Chen said calmly. He's a scumbag. Not only is he domineering, but is also a bully. I knew he would cause trouble for you, but I didn't expect it to happen so soon. Lu Yao bit her lips tightly with her teeth, feeling very sorry. Sister Yao, don't worry, we won't let Brother Chen face him alone. Xiong Yi vowed. But it's not a good idea to go on like this. He is a vengeful person. If I suffer a loss today, he will definitely get it back at all costs. Lu Yao said worriedly. So this is why we stick together. Chen Shuo replied. No, I have to talk to him about this. He is capable of doing anything out of the ordinary. Lu Yao was still a little uneasy. He doesn't dare to do anything wrong in school, so don't worry. Su Chen took her little hand and comforted her softly. Half an hour later, Su Chen and Lu Yao finally arrived at Lao Yu's studio. There were 3 graduate students discussing something inside. Seeing Su Chen and Lu Yao coming, they all looked at them in surprise. Who are you? A senior student wearing thick glasses walked up and asked. Hello, senior. I am Su Chen, a freshman majoring in information management and information systems, and she is Lu Yao, a freshman majoring in software engineering. Teacher Yu said there is a project here and asked us to come and help. Su Chen walked up calmly and said neither humbly nor arrogantly. Freshman. Are you kidding, Mr. Yu? You have just started learning C language, how can you help? A slightly thin boy next to him teased. I've heard of Su Chen. He's the warrior who scored over 600 points in the college entrance examination and dared to charge forward for love. The only girl among the 3 teased with a smile. My name is Zhang Hongshuo. I'm currently in my 2nd year of graduate school. These 2 are Ju Pei and Huang Jian, who are in their 1st year. I'll just ask a few questions. If you can answer them, you can stay. Otherwise, there's no point. Zhang Hongshuo said decisively. Why do we need an interview? Su Chen was a little unhappy. After all, Lao Yu said he was just here to help, so there was no need for all this red tape. You don't dare. Zhang Hongshuo asked jokingly. Su Chen had a look of disdain on his face. As a top student, he had a photographic memory, and he had been working in the computer industry before his rebirth. In terms of seniority, the 3 of them combined are not good enough. He was just worried that Lu Yao couldn't handle it. Lu Yao saw through his thoughts and smiled, saying, Please give us some questions, senior. Then let me ask a few simple questions. Can a local variable have the same name as a global variable? Adjusting his glasses, Zhang Hongshuo asked loudly. Yes, the local will block the global. To use global variables, you need to use the domain operator, : Lu Yao answered fluently. Describe the naming rules of variables. Zhang Hongshuo asked. Variable names can be made up of letters, numbers, and underscores, but they cannot start with a number. Lu Yao continued to perform steadily. What is a data model? Seeing that he could not stump her, Zhang Hongshuo deliberately increased the difficulty. Lu Yao was slightly stunned, obviously stumped. Seeing this, Su Chen quickly defended himself and said, "Senior, your question belongs to database management, which we have not yet touched upon. So, old you is just messing around. You two don't even know what a database is. How can you help by coming here? You're just causing trouble." Zhang Hongxue said proudly. Unexpectedly, just as he finished speaking, Lu Yao calmly replied, "A data model is a model that identifies entity types and the relationships between entities. Typical data models include network models, hierarchical models, and relational models. Have you studied database?" Zhang Hongxue looked over in amazement. "This is a sophomore course. I reviewed it in advance in the library when I had nothing to do," Lu Yao said with ease. "I didn't realize you were so capable," Zhang Hongxue said angrily. Su Chen was also shocked. After all, if he had not been reborn, he would not be able to answer this question. "There's no big problem with her. It's up to you from now on." Zhang Hongxue looked at Su Chen proudly. "I'm just a rookie, I hope Senior won't make the questions too difficult," Su Chen said with a sneer. To him, it was a surprise that Lu Yao could answer it smoothly. From now on, no matter how tricky Zhang Hongxue's questions were, he was confident that he could handle them. "I'm just asking a simple question. If you can answer it, you'll pass. Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving you a chance," Zhang Hongxue said lightly. He is probably the kind of person who uses chicken feathers as a token of authority. The greatest evil of human nature is to make things difficult for others within the scope of one's power. Moreover, he had selfish motives. Lu Yao's abilities and appearance attracted him. Since he had already kept this beautiful schoolmate, Su Chen was destined to leave.